Hey, this is Brennan from ComicCon.com. Welcome to the C3 Pod. Steve is on his way today. It's not one of those days where Steve's not going to be here. I texted him a bunch of times for the past half hour, and he says he's on his way in, so we'll see. But we just got to a point where we just kind of got to go because we're all here. So ready for teeth. Yeah, that comes up in this segment. All right. So yeah, in the upper right-hand corner there, we got Mr. Brett Lawson, student of the game and Gameday Huddle. Brett, how you doing today? How's Vegas looking for you?
Vegas is fine. I was doing well until apparently, my facial hair just got eviscerated before the show started. So, now I'm just wondering if the masses who enjoy this fabulous podcast this whole time have been going, who is this schmuck with the awful beard? But you know what? Hey, that's all good because what episode are we on now at this point?
Is it 12?
So there you go. So there you go. So the fact that we're 12 episodes in, and now I'm wondering if the entire, if the entire continuity of the podcast has been like altered in my mind. That's great because that means we have some drama here in Thanksgiving time, late November, about the end of the holiday season.
You know what? I don't know if
fall.
you like.
So
I don't know if I like that you're tipping your hand here and letting people know how abusive I am behind the scenes.
Because no. I think the opposite. I think we need to air it more. I think from now on the Patreon just needs to from now on, Eric, just record everything. Yeah. Everything gets recorded. Everything's Patreon. By the end of the day, this podcast is going to be like 5 hours long. But no, man, everything's good. Obviously, we're entering holiday time, so anywhere you are, it's going to be kind of rocking and rolling. Vegas is no exception. But we're getting some nice weather, so that's pretty cool.
Well, and I want to like break kayfabe here a little bit because this episode's not going to air until after Thanksgiving, but. This is all of the pre-Thanksgiving. Everybody's getting ready for tomorrow. I've got the turkey thawing in the fridge and all that stuff. And I'm not wearing pants, and I'm not making any qualms about that because I'm not leaving my house anytime for the next 48 hours. So
smart man.
From the waist up, this is what I have on. This is my entire outfit. So speaking of naked from the waist down, Paul Vato in Chicago, Illinois. Paul from MADtv, you know this guy. You've seen him in a bunch of commercials. That can we play the ad for the Texas DOT?
Oh, I need to download it.
Is that legal to play, or would we get in trouble for like copyright infringement, whatever? Because that's one of the funniest things I've seen is Paul Vato as the sensitive, like too many feelings luchador getting into the car after the show. It's a really good commercial. You should look it up. Texas DOT luchador, something will bring it up, or you can go to Paul Vato's website. That's where he got it from, right? Oh, he's muted. I love it. I love it.
Can't hear. How fitting.
Yep, how fitting. Yeah, you can just go to paulvato.com. And for the record, Brett, I would never ever say anything negative about your beard to your face, just so you know that.
Oh, that's fine. No, yeah, you can say whatever you want behind my back. And there's like actually times where I'll you guys all know this, where we're getting ready for the show. I'll get on the chat just to let them know I'm here, and then I'll disappear for like 5 minutes. And sometimes I'll listen before I can sit here for about a 90-second interval. I'm like, I could tune in right now, but I'm going to give it a 90-second breathing period to see if they start talking shit so I could jump in. But no, it's all fun. Like Brennan said, it's fun to break kayfabe too and kind of let the viewers and listeners behind the scenes.
Nice. And of course, 100%. In the bottom right-hand corner there, we have our executive producer, editor-in-chief of ComicCon.com. I hear that's a fantastic place to get your comics news every day. It's a convention in your own home, right, Eric?
Exactly. It is the nonstop comic book convention. Absolutely. Yes. That is nice. Comicon.com.
Right. And when you see those ads that come on, we went back and forth about because 10 seconds is hard to hit and getting it through and having it we should have got Brett to do the thing, but no, Eric, that's his voice you hear on that ad.
Nails it.
Yeah.
Nails it.
I also did have to speed it up a little to make the time. And I think that actually contributes to the fact that it doesn't quite sound like me.
So here's the
you had to modulate it a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Here's the next step, and keeping with the recent continuity of the show. Now Eric has to do a recording with Christian Bale saying it, George Lucas saying it, and there was one more. I couldn't remember who it was, but he absolutely nailed that one. We'll get that one too. And then then we're.
That's my favorite place to get my comic convention news. Reviews too. It's really great, and with digital technology, it's very easy to get it on your phone as well.
Space
Wizards.
You know
what's funny is, so I grew up with the original It, the made-for-TV. Right. And I just watched part 1 of the new It with my son. And one of the things that I kind of hate about the new one, I like a lot of things that they did with it because, they have the bigger budget and it's obviously, it's made for Hollywood. It's made for the silver screen. It's not made for television. So there's a different level of production. But they left out a bunch of the children's quirks and things from when they were kids that don't make sense when they're older. So unless you see Richie doing the impersonations and stuff all the time and doing them really poorly, it doesn't make any sense that he's a famous comedian now and that he's doing the impressions really well because he did them really poorly when he was a really kid. And that whole level of development is not there. And because I've read the book so many times, because I've seen the original so many times, I hate that it's not in the new film. All right.
And yes, and impressions take time too. So you do want to set that up.
So, and everybody totally missed that was left-handed on Erik's impressions.
Oh, I know they're bad. I know they're bad. It's fine.
Cool. All right. So Steve is on his way in, and I kind of really wanted to get Steve's take on this this first subject, actually. So we can talk about it a little bit and get your guys' cold takes on it. And then when Steve gets in, we can get his professional opinion. But everybody knows who Jose Canseco is, right? One of the Bash brothers. He played for Oakland. He was a slugger. He was one of the really early guys in the 90s to really start taking steroids.
Yep.
Late 80s, early 90s to really start taking steroids. And you could really see him getting swole because he was a little tiny guy and then he was a massive guy. But he was really entertaining to watch. And then when baseball ended because of the steroid era, things that were flying around and stuff like that, he had a really hard time finding a place outside of baseball after his baseball career was over. So he was doing celebrity boxing, he was doing signing events, and he's got a brother. I don't know. Is his brother a twin? I forget if it's a twin brother or not.
I can't remember if it's a twin, but they're super close.
I think it is a twin
of age. Yeah, but no, and absolutely right. No, go ahead.
But what happened is he would book conventions and send his brother. And then Efren, the guy who plays Pedro on Napoleon Dynamite, had the opposite thing happen where he wasn't booking conventions. His twin brother was booking conventions and going there as Efren and pretending to be him. But Jose Canseco would send his brother to conventions and people would be like, wait a second, doesn't Jose Canseco have a tattoo or something like that? Like there was something about his body that was not right. Anyway, so Canseco has always had these really weird ways of making money that are outside of baseball. And yeah, tonight it's
Ozzy Canseco's his identical twin. I couldn't remember that. So there you go. Yeah, just wanted to make sure. But so no, man, you're spot on. He's one of those guys that where most people. There's multiple generations who know more of his antics post baseball than the prime of his baseball career.
Right. And he's done like MMA and stuff like that. So anyway, I opened up Facebook and I saw this thing and I was like, what is happening here? So somebody got a hold of Jose Canseco who found out he was getting his veneers replaced or his teeth pulled and getting the permanent ones put in or whatever, reached out to Jose Canseco and said, hey, can I have your teeth so we can sell them and make some money? And Canseco's like, sure, let's do it. So go ahead and pull that image up, Erik. These are Jose Canseco's actual teeth out of his mouth. And I was lucky enough to grab the screenshot before it got pulled down because it was gone when I tried to look it up, but I had one browser that was open that had it on there, but it had an address on there for Canseco that I blurred out because I don't want to get sued or anything like that. And I blurred out the dude's name, but this guy reached out to Canseco. Canseco was like, well, hell yeah, I'll sell my teeth. So he gives him the teeth and they're going to try and make a limited edition run of those collector cards that you get, the 1 of 1 with Jose Canseco's actual body parts in the card. Brett, go.
Man, well, first of all, just to give a little further context, is when Brennan was basically, when the light bulb went off on his head that this had to be on the show, he sent this to me right away on Facebook Messenger, and he says, this is weird, right? First, it's actual body parts, and then it's bleeping Canseco. And I completely agree, because I'm all like, when I first just saw, when you first, just comprehend what's actually happening, you're like, what? And then when you really realize, who it's coming from, I'm all like, teeth from anybody? Odd. Teeth from Canseco? Yikes. So that's immediately, in terms of shock value, right? In terms of that factor, this, no pun very much intended, smacks it out of the park. And, he's one of those guys where, kind of what we were just mentioning, alluding to a moment ago, where every time you hear his name, it's not necessarily as a negative connotation, but it has a controversial connotation. So when you just say, hey, did you hear that story about Jose Canseco's? And if you're just to cut someone off, something weird's going to happen. And lo and behold, in this case, have you heard the recent story about Jose Canseco's teeth being, for sale? And it's not a surprise. It's gross, it's shocking, but it's not necessarily surprising. And I think it's just one of those things where in this collector's world, I mean, you see it right there with the Oakland A's collectors page. We see a myriad of those things popping up left and right. Steve talks about it all the time. It's like, Brendan, you mentioned it before on the show. It's very much a marketplace aspect. So there's so many that seem legit, so many that immediately seem like just illegitimate. But when you see the fact that, or when you just basically realize the fact that these all ties into fandom, these types of things, it kind of doesn't really surprise me. Like, I expect to see something like this. It doesn't justify it, but I guess at this point, I'm kind of in the social media era, kind of getting used to it, because these people know no bounds in terms of what they'll go after. Most people will have our type of reaction, but there will be those, you know, those oddballs who partake in this and are going to.
Well, you know, and this actually, there's something in the second segment we're going to talk about boundaries as well. This actually, it's one of those weird things. It's like,
boundaries
where is the line?
Yes.
Where is the line? Because you're talking about somebody's actual like biohazard waste here.
Yes.
This thing lived in his teeth, and I'm sure they've got a stench. There's no way these things, because they've got little cracks and stuff around them. There's no way they're not full of bacteria and food waste and whatever. Like, this is disgusting.
Can't be pleasant. There's no way it's pleasant. Right. And how do you display those properly? Because even like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just like put them in some type of like encasing, because then it's just like a pile of teeth. Like, are you going to display them, or are you just kind of going to put them with the rest of your memorabilia and say, oh, by the way, those are Canseco's teeth? Like, that's what I kind of want to know. But obviously someone would have to buy them first.
What do you think about this, Paul? Are you in the market for selling nose hairs? What, I mean,
100%. I mean, you're going to ask me what I think about trying to make a little extra money on something that I'm going to get rid of anyways. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that they go on a chain like a shark's tooth, you know?
Puka shell necklace.
Puka shell necklace. Teeth. I've got perfectly formed teeth. They're just all, you know, spread around the mouth. Now, I do have a tooth story where I tried to outsmart the tooth fairy. If we got time for that, you want me to give you that short story? Or?
Please.
So, you know, I must have been young enough that I still believe in the tooth fairy, but old enough to be able to use tools to try to extract all the teeth from a cow's head that my family had bought, you know, to cook. And so I see the cow's jaw and it's full of teeth. I'm like, I'm going to make a killing. So I extracted all the teeth and I'm sure my dad helped me because I was pretty young. I still believe in the tooth fairy. This was, you know, a couple years ago. And we took all the teeth out and I put them in paper, and then I stuck them under the pillow. So you can imagine that smell. And I think I washed them first. And I'm like, well, if I'm getting a quarter a tooth or $1 a tooth, whatever it is that we used to get when we were growing up from the tooth fairy, for every time you lost a tooth, like,
wait, you got $1 in the 80s?
Were your parents rich? They were until they had to raise us, you know. But they had money before we were a necessity, you know.
Existent.
It must have been a quarter. It was probably a quarter. So yeah, it was a quarter, and so I had, I don't know how many, 32 teeth. How many teeth are in a cow's head? I should find that out. And I put them under the pillow. And I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich. Next morning, I woke up. I got scammed by the tooth fairy. It was a package deal. Apparently, you get only a quarter for all the teeth. And so I was like, oh, I was so livid with myself. It's like, what a dummy. I should have spread it out over a few months and made a quarter each day. But no, I messed up. But yeah, I tried to scam the tooth fairy, and that didn't quite work out for me. So I don't know
how many teeth
Seiko's thinking here, but yeah. Did you look it up?
A cow has 32.
You're not gonna look it up?
Okay.
I just did. Yeah.
Is it just like humans?
I guess.
Yeah. Well, I 32, right? Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay.
Man, maybe it's a mammal thing, I guess. You know.
All right. So the next question before Steve comes in here and tells us what this is really worth. Canseco is not a huge collector name, right? It's one of those things where, like, if you see him at a convention, whatever, you might get him to sign something. Like, I don't know. I would not pay to have Canseco sign shit. But, you know, if I saw him and he was signing hats or something like that, I might, I don't know.
Right.
But not one of my hats. If he was giving away a hat and it was signed, I would take it. Actually, I don't think I would get a signature. I don't want a Canseco. Anyway.
No, it's good. It's a good, like, question, or, you know, it's a good idea, or yeah, that's the thing. It's a good question to ponder in your head, because it's like a blink and you missed him. He was dominant in the league because of the roids, and it was the right time at the right place. And it was like a blink and you miss it type of moment. So it's easy to kind of like overlook the value there. But obviously, Brendan, if there's someone who knows about value, I think it's someone who's kind of joining in the shuffle now.
Right. So before Steve chimes in on this disgusting thing we're talking about, if it was McGuire's teeth, Maybe because McGuire, right? Because he's the other Bash brother. McGuire and Canseco were both on the A's at the same time. They were both taking steroids. They both got super swole. They were banging them out of the park,
Yep,
right?
looking like pro wrestlers.
But I wouldn't buy a Canseco hat, is what I'm saying. So what would you think people would reasonably pay for a 1-of-1 Jose Canseco Incisor card?
So first off, to start, the body pieces or things like that that have been included in this type of merchandise and memorabilia have never sold well. Because I do think that people have that opinion that it does come off as potentially disgusting or different or whatever, right? So that's the first thing. I don't know that there's going to be a major market for it. Look, Canseco's impact on the sport and really on pop culture, because when he came out with his book and kind of did the tell-all, that was kind of one of the first real sports tell-alls from a player perspective, because a lot of times they go to the grave with that stuff, right? There's things that from my time in, the sports world, that there's things that just will never be talked about, mentioned, or discussed. And for him to go the realm that he did, he has a little bit of star power. I don't want to say big star power. He's got a little bit of it. He's still a guy that like impacts the community. He's a guy that people will talk about. He is collected. There are people that do buy his stuff, but not nearly as much as it is. And as you mentioned, McGuire, there's no difference between the two of them, except Canseco's kept himself significantly more visible than McGuire has.
Well, but McGuire was also active for much longer and broke the home run record initially before Bonds and stuff like that. So McGuire, I feel like, has more
better player
credential.
profile.
Yeah, better credentials than
he does.
Canseco.
But at the time, Canseco's impact on the game, because McGuire really didn't have that impact. I mean, he did. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was big with the Bash Brothers run and the World Series and all that stuff.
Helped save the sport.
But he was always the other guy there. It was never McGuire, and Canseco. It was always Canseco, McGuire, and then everyone else, right? So it's funny, because I think the fact that Canseco, look, he's got Cuban heritage. He was this just gigantic human. He was a tree trunk, right? And
well, he was a good-looking dude. I remember that a lot of women were casually watching sports because it's a Derek Jeter thing. He's a good-looking guy. He's well-spoken. He's got that deep voice. Whatever. Like, there was a lot of appeal to him when he was playing, but after he's playing, he did a lot of weird shit.
Well, no, and he's involved in a bunch of things, and it's funny. I've got Canseco stories where I struck him out, but one of my buddies gave up like a 500-foot home run to him when he was like 50, right? Like, the dude could still hit, the dude could still swing it. There was no question that the guy could play, that he's got an impact on the community. He's got an impact in the, in the hobby industry, but he's not necessarily someone that no one's clamoring to buy up Jose Canseco teeth relics. It's just not going to happen that way. I'll be honest with you. If I had to put a market value on what they might exchange for, maybe $100, maybe a little bit more. They're not going to be thousands of dollar cards, 1-of-1s. It's not going to feel that way. Because also it's not going to be distributed from a major company. And at this point, it would have to be Fanatics. And there's no way Fanatics is in on this one. Like, no way.
Nice.
And like what we talked about, it's the connotation. Like, when you hear Canseco, you think more of the tabloids at this point than baseball. You think, Madonna and all the controversies and everything else in between. The baseball's like, when him and McGuire were kind of on the same team with the Bash Brothers, he was more relevant in the long run. McGuire proved to be more relevant.
I like how he says the same team. Like, we don't know it's the Oakland A's, the 89 A's.
Right.
Man.
But exactly, I had to clarify, even though you literally said it when introducing the topic, and it has Oakland A's collector page. But no, obviously, when they were in the same lineup, they were a huge force. But by the time McGuire was helping save baseball in '98, Canseco was nowhere near as relevant. So
I just love the fact that your description of Mark McGuire was literally the written description that I believe that Paul Vato has been given from time to time. So, it was pretty interesting to hear, Paul, seriously though, how are you not in on the teeth? How are you? How did you not land this?
I wish I would have been. I mean, kudos to the guy that found it and then reached out. It sounds like he already had a relationship with Mark McGuire, with Jose Canseco.
With the dentist. So some dentist is talking. But first of all, isn't there a HIPAA violation there?
Probably.
Some dentist is talking to his friend. He's like, "Yeah, I'm about to pull Canseco's teeth," and then the guy's like, "Oh, can you get him for me?" So go ahead, continue the story. But like, he doesn't even know Canseco. He knows the dentist of Canseco, which is a weird connection.
Yeah, there's got to be
because that means the dude was breaking some laws.
Small
first of all,
world.
even talking about it because HIPAA is real, and you can get sued for that shit.
And before we get into this with Paul, understand this is the type of angle that Paul takes in life. Paul goes to your dentist to get information, not you. So, this is 100% up Paul's alley.
I mean, if anyone's interested in Brendan Allen's vasectomy tubes, I've got a line on that. We're going to auction those off.
I'd buy every other part of Canseco's body before I do that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Every part?
Yeah. Every part.
Oh,
Anyway,
this really went sideways, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, vasectomy tubes was kind of already sideways enough.
Okay, so I have
Okay.
a silly non-sports fan question though.
Yes.
Ask
sir.
it.
Because
Ask it.
scandals do cross over into the real world. Would Pete Rose's teeth be more valuable?
Yes.
That's a great question. I love that.
No, here's the thing: is Pete Rose was doing a bunch of signings and things like that. He was making money off of baseballs and things for a long time because he was penitent. And that's the thing, is that he made a big mistake, and then he came out, he denied it for years, whatever. And then he finally came out and was like, you know what? Yeah, I did it. Fine. Just let me go to baseball. Let me be part of it again, because I love this sport so much. It was my life for so long. And the fact that like he wasn't forgiven for by Major League Baseball until after he died really sucks. But Pete Rose stuff still has a little bit of value. You can still get it's like $100-$150 for a Pete Rose ball, something like that. Maybe the prices have changed a little bit. Last time I looked, they were like $100-$150. But like, I don't think it costs $100 for a Canseco ball. Where are they at on value, Steve?
I mean, in that $40 range, Canseco's not a big autograph. The difference is, and there's when we get into this, eliminate the teeth and put the player profile side by side, and they're not even close to one another. One of them is, arguably the greatest individual hitter of all time.
Yeah.
I know there's arguments today with Ohtani and previously with, Suzuki, but, at the same time, like at the end of the day,
it's Charlie Hustle. Like it's like,
at the end of the day, there's such a bigger impact.
Yeah.
The impact Canseco had on the sport was eyes, like Brendan mentioned, that weren't traditional to be eyes on baseball. And the impact that Pete Rose had was generational. So
Pete Rose is so
different thing.
Pete Rose is so great. His absence in Cooperstown makes Cooperstown less legitimate. I don't care about the gambling.
And
until he gets
that I'm
in,
a huge
it's
Barry
not
Bonds
a legit
fan.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Barry Bonds fan, right? I love Barry Bonds. I think he's one of the greatest hitters of all time. But I think it's more of a travesty that Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame than that Barry Bonds is not on the Hall of Fame. And you know how I feel about Barry Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame.
And I'm with you, and I'm adamant about Barry Bonds. I think Barry Bonds, up until Ohtani, had the case, not just the greatest hitter. You can make the case Barry Bonds in his prime. I'm talking like Pittsburgh Barry Bonds, maybe the greatest five-tool talent we've ever seen. We
get into that era thing again. Ohtani is this era's best baseball player. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah.
I would argue that Barry Bonds in the 90s is the best baseball player. But when you're comparing Barry Bonds to Ohtani, it's apples and oranges because it's different eras of ball.
100%. And Ohtani is a great two-way guy, but Ohtani's never fielding. Ohtani's strictly pitching. Barry Bonds was doing stuff in the field defensively.
You know what? You put Ohtani out in left field, and I want to see how far he throws.
Yeah,
I want to see though, because they used to always
tell you right now.
He could run. I think he could run for the outfield because
I'm going to say something that's going to be completely out of left field. Ohtani is the best center fielder on that team.
Right. No, I don't even think that's
best center fielder.
They stuck Bonds in
the
left.
best center fielder in the national.
And then they made fun. They made fun of Bonds not throwing like a pitcher from left field, and it's like, dude, that's the furthest from first base. What the hell is wrong with you?
Right. No, 100%.
Yeah.
Baseball talk always.
I don't know. The thing is that when you start getting into these things, it really does matter about where. At the end of the day, I think it has to do with, we're telling ghost stories, right? And the ghost stories are who has the biggest ghost story to tell. And when you start talking about that, Canseco's ghost story is, it's the side note. It's the one that gets told on the way to the campfire.
It's his MMA record. It's his sexual,
Exactly.
conquest, whatever that he claims. It's his
all
STDs
the stuff that's
and,
not baseball. Right.
All the issues with the driving situation in Miami, like all of these
But here's
things.
the thing. If he really wanted to make some money, though, Canseco, I'm sure, still has some of those jerseys from the '89 series. I'm sure he still has, like, they could carve up a bat and make some Bash Brothers shit, whatever. People my age would still buy Bash Brothers. If they put a Mark McGuire piece of a bat next to a Jose Canseco piece of a bat, I would pay $30 for it. Like, he has other ways of making money besides selling his damn teeth. Like, this is very strange, and it creeped me out, and I knew you guys would have some fun talking about it, but it's a strange thing.
What?
And
why is there a search in the chat from Paul Vato that's searching where can I buy players' teeth? I don't understand this, Paul.
No, he's trying to figure out how close.
I meant to put it in my Google search, and I accidentally put it in the chat. No, I'm paying attention. What's going on?
Exactly. Paul, I joined late, obviously, guys. Late, not here. I've got 1,000 excuses I could give you, and honestly, I have no good ones. So I do apologize for my tardiness today, and then not being here.
Were you at the barber or hair salon or?
No. I actually
I used to do my hair like that. Just
moved a little
comb it
faster.
all to one
Honestly,
side when I was, like,
I just let
seventh grade.
it playing natural. I didn't do anything to it.
Oh, really?
My hair was washed today. It was brushed back, and this is what it looks like. So that's where we're at today. Who knows what will be tomorrow?
So just real quick, just a quick like eBay search or whatever. Jose Canseco balls, the high end ones that are that have the holograms and stuff, are only going like top end for like $30. Whereas you've got Pete Rose balls, if they've got an inscription on them, they're like 300. Where I'm Sorry I Bet on Baseball was the one he was doing right before he passed away. I'm Sorry I Bet on Baseball, I'll run you 300. But just a signed ball that's got a verification on it's about $180.
The autograph for Pete Rose that is the most valuable is the one that says the Hit King. Yeah. Because he stopped signing the Hit King early after he retired.
Here's one that's verified or whatever. It says Pete Rose Hit King for $189. So that's right mid for his balls.
Yeah. So that's generally the one that most people want, is just because of the fact that he didn't put a lot of those. I think over time those will be the ones that'll be the most valuable, but it's going to be hard.
Hold up though. He's got 100 balls out there that say Pete Rose 1963 ROY.
Oh, wow.
Oh, all right.
Of the year. Wow.
That's cool. I mean, I'm sure he's signed that on other stuff. I don't know. I have a Pete Rose autograph. But I again, it's not, the Canseco thing just doesn't have the same impactful power that you would think that, it would have if it was someone else. In fact, it's kind of a buried story, right? It's definitely on the, peculiar and different range. And I could get that, but there's no way that these things are going to sell for, crazy amounts of money. They're just not going to do it. So I'm not looking for one. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's just saying. Like, it's almost like the less we know, the better. Ultimately,
absolutely. Well,
you know what though? I heard that they're gonna make some Jose Canseco Beanie Babies, and the smile is gonna have the actual teeth in it.
They already made them. That's a real thing.
Google
the Beanie Baby is.
Google.
There's actual McGuire and Canseco embroidered Beanie Babies.
Oh no, that's definitely true. The baseball bears were an actual thing. I collected all of them. I still have them somewhere in this garage. In fact, that would make a fun episode of the show. I should find them because I saved them just for the sentimental value. Right, those are the only things from a kid I saved, because I had everyone from McGuire, Sosa, Griffey Jr., Clemens. I had Jim Edmonds. Like, they were, and the bear, and then the Bears, the Beanie Babies color was like varied on the uniform. I had Alex Rodriguez with the Rangers. That was actually really cool. Yeah, those are memory lane.
I think that we've got an entire segment at one point to put up of what's in Brett's garage.
Yeah.
It should just be whatever. Just he has to pull like 3 random boxes.
Yeah.
We pick them. He doesn't.
You
get
know,
it.
if there's a chest
We-
freezer behind you, I do not want to know what's in it.
Oh, for sure.
Canseco body parts.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
That's
we're
where
not
he's got
going to
his
talk
camera.
about teeth anymore,
top of
but
the freezer.
when we make our way back, we do have some discussions on Galaxycon coming to Columbus just this next month. So make sure you stick around for the C3 pod right here.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Welcome back to the C3 pod. Of course, this segment brought to you by our friends at Lava Packs, a brand new mystery pack offering TCG and Bo Jackson's Battle Arena. Go to lavapacks.com. You guys can check them out. Get yourself a mystery pack. It's pretty cool because they have drip packs, which are like a lower end, magnet cased, single card, opportunity to hit some bangers. And it's a fun way to get in and have some good times. And they have Disney now too, which is really neat. And then they have these slab versions where you get a graded card in a nice mystery style box. Very fun, very cool. So definitely check them out. Our friends at Lava Packs, thank you guys for the support of the C3 pod. But check them out, lavapacks.com. So I want to get into Galaxycon Columbus. This is a time of year that you don't have a lot of shows on the schedule, but Galaxycon is one of those shows that does impact pretty well into the hobby space. And a lot of times it's because they can grab some names that normally would be harder to get to shows because they're usually tied up in a bunch of the other big events that happen. Usually November shows don't bode very well, and December shows for the comic world. But Galaxycon's figured it out. They've got a nice show over there. They've been around for quite a few years. And Brendan, why don't you tell us a lot or a little about what's going on at Galaxycon?
Well, there's a couple of things that I really want to talk about at Galaxycon, but we'll run down through the standard stuff first. So for comics guests, this is a really comics heavy show. You can see on there's Ben Templesmith. He's known for 30 Days a Night. Dan Mora, Steve Orlando, Liana Kangas, Heather Antos, Dan Waters, Rico Renzi, Alex Segura, Michael Kingston. Lots of big names there. Michael Kingston always usually brings some professional wrestlers with him. And so there's some other professional wrestlers going to be at this show as well. But as far as, when people feel like the comics content gets watered down at these bigger shows, they've got 200 or 300 people between their featured guests and between their artist alley, that if that person was just booked by themselves at my local shop, I would go to see them. Any of these names, because they really, really do have a very comics forward front for that particular part of the show. So they put a lot of time and effort into getting good guests for that. When we get to celebrities, we got Cheech and Chong from Doctor Who. There's Jodie Whittaker, Billy Piper. Looks like they're doing a Scream reunion because Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, Jamie Kennedy, Lee Waddell are there. Carrie Elwes is there. He's always fun. He's a great guest. Weird Al is fun. From Star Trek, actually 3 different generations are there. Bill Shatner, Gates McFadden, and Brent Spiner are all going to be there.
Hold on. I just thought about this. You're going to have Jamie Kennedy in the same room with Cheech and Chong.
Yes.
Right? And on top of it, Simon Pegg. Like there's 4 like just completely different people sitting there. Like that is by far. And
imagine that panel if you just took that bottom row right there.
So I feel like Rosario would be running around and trying to like, guys, get in the picture. Stop. Get over here. Like, I feel like she has to play organizer the entire time.
What Brendan was about to say, I think is spot on. As great as that entire panel, like that what we sing with the imagery here, that bottom row alone is like worth the price of admission.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine that panel with Cheech and Chong up there and Carrie Elwes and Dolph Lundgren? And here's a funny thing about Dolph Lundgren that I don't think a lot of people know. Did you know that Dolph Lundgren is more qualified to be a scientist than what's his name, Bill Nye?
I love that. I believe it.
Really?
Yeah.
Bill Nye has 1 degree, and it's not even here. Let me look it up real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Give me a second.
It's like
Dolph Lundgren, the science guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like Brian May. Yeah, Brian May is a full-blown one of the greatest virtuoistic rock guitarists of all time. He's like a full-blown rocket scientist.
By the way, the best song from anybody in this group is the Jamie Kennedy song that he did about what's his name, the comedian from Full House that passed away.
Saget, Bob Saget.
Bob Saget. I think I can beat Bob Saget. I think that's the name of it. I don't remember what it is, but it's hilarious. And Saget comes in and he's cussing and he's talking smack and all this stuff. He's in the song. It's hilarious.
Okay, so Bill Nye has a bachelor's in science, mechanical engineering from Cornell. Okay, that's a degree, but it's mechanical engineering. Dolph Lundgren has a bachelor's of science in chemistry from Washington State University, a BS in chemical engineering from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. He's got a master's in chemical engineering from the University of Sydney, and he's a Fulbright scholarship recipient from MIT.
Sheesh.
So, but there's a completely big difference between the two.
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren has a degree from Washington State.
Exactly.
Well, probably the one institution that the degree
his master's is from the University of Sydney.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. MIT, all that is watering it down. It had Washington State there.
He needed he needed the MIT at the end because as you were reading them off, I'm like, Bill Nye hasn't beat with Cornell. So like he needed the MIT, even though that was he was a recipient. It's a recipient honor, so that's kind of
because he was enrolled at MIT and then he left because there was something that happened.
Yeah.
But he was enrolled in MIT and he got this prestigious award. But he has 6 other degrees in science. Like that's amazing to me.
That many degrees. That's one point. That's one instance where quantity actually may be quality. Yeah. Plus mechanical engineering that's like second tier behind the biochemistry and all that anyway, right? So.
That's what I'm saying. It's like mechanical engineering. He's the Wolowitz of the Big Bang Theory group. He's got a degree in mechanical engineering, but he can still have conversations with them because he's educated. And I think that's the thing is Bill Nye is a personable guy and he understands the concepts because he is intelligent and well versed in sciencey type things. So you present something to him because like the doctor when I was growing up that was on TV was Dr. Dean Adele in the Bay Area. Dr. Dean was a podiatrist. He was a foot doctor, but people would send in questions about heart health and things like that. And because he was a doctor and he can understand medical terms, he would look it up before the show and then answer the question on the show. And he had this, he was a handsome guy and people liked watching him and stuff like that. So
good host, right.
You can be intelligent and have a base knowledge and present information, but it's just interesting to me that, people look at Dolph Lundgren and they're like, oh, he's just a big muscly dude. No, sir, he's not.
That's what makes it
Paul
fun.
Just started writing a run sheet. He has an idea of going ahead and he's gonna, mimic Bill Nye's program, but bring Dolph Lundgren on because I feel like that's so much more watchable.
Is he Isaac?
I just want to see a show where Paul gets punched in the face by Dolph Lundgren over and over again.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
can we set that up?
Is he in Ivan Drago mode? Is he in 1990s god awful Punisher movie mode? Like, what are we talking here?
Nice.
And you've heard that story that Stallone was like, yeah, you can hit me for real. And they had to stop for 2 weeks because Dolph Lundgren did hit him for real and they cracked a rib.
I'm just happy. Yeah, it's a great story. And I'm just happy now we could add Stallone to the bunch too. Thank you, Eric.
We have to do a sizzle reel of Eric and his impersonations. Yeah.
Incredible.
Cool. All right. So also
fantastic
at GalaxyCon, there's going to be a bunch of pro wrestlers. So Darby Allin from AEW, Nick Nemeth, we know from conventions in Vegas. We worked with him. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. Mark Henry, Danhausen, Jimmy Hart, Honky Tonk Man, Lex Luger, Scott Steiner, Ricky Steamboat. There's 2 or 3 of these dudes that, again, if they were just showing up by themselves, I would show up for. I would show up for Nick. I would show up for Ricky Steamboat. I mean, Danhausen is hilarious. If you've seen him at a convention or the way he interacts with the other wrestlers and people that are selling stuff or whatever, that guy would be hilarious. Anybody have a connection? We need to get him on the show.
No, but he is great. He's very he's like a media darling. Absolutely. This is an absolute great crop though. I mean, and it covers so many eras. You have the AEW aspect as well, but just for the casual mainstream, if you're someone who kind of, casually has viewed WWE and nothing else, this is still perfect for you. And if you're a diehard, you see someone like Ricky Steamboat and you're like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Mark Henry's known as one of the best guys in the history of the business and one of the greatest eyes of talent in the history of business. Mark Henry is almost more appreciated now than he ever was actively working, despite being one of the best big men in the ring we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Hart, the first convention I ever worked with Steve, I actually did a quick little interview with Jimmy Hart on the set. That was awesome. And then even if you're just like one of those WCW, Monday Night War type of era fans or the new generation era fans in the 90s, you have Lex Luger and Scott Steiner. So you have a little, and Honky Tonk Man.
Which
so you have a
are 2 of the most interesting stories for how they jumped ship to WCW. Yep. Lex Luger Lex Luger literally went to WCW from WWF. He was so unhappy at WWF. He literally went for a handshake and a hot dog because they didn't want him. But because he had friends that were at WCW already, they had convinced, what's his name, Eric Bischoff. They were like, come on, please just offer the dude a contract. And so Bischoff came in so low. He's like, there's no way this is an insult. There's no way he's going to take it. And Luger's like, hell yeah, I'm there. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's no doubt the Monday Night Wars, when you were watching them in real time as a television product, were obviously outstanding, at least for a certain point where they both kind of were really pushing each other. But the stories behind it, it's almost like the Montreal Screwjob. All the BS that goes behind it is more interesting and more fun to learn about now than the actual event itself.
I had from WCW, which is a complete side note, something random. I did sell it, but
Eric, hold that thought. Yeah,
I had the shirt.
Yeah,
that Roddy Piper wore against Macho Man in Road to Slamboree, which had the Tasmanian Devil on it.
Yeah.
And during the match, I think it was the WB Network contacted them and said, that is not licensed. And so when they left the match, there were 3 shirts. They had confiscated one out of his locker. There was the one that he had on, and there was one that was at home that had never been worn, that he was going to wear these like shirts, right? And so they told him to take it off, and the one that he wore, he actually left with it on and wouldn't take it off. And then no one knew it was in there. And apparently the story came out because he did a trade with what's the guy's name that played in what was the baseball movie where he was the Jet and hit a run? It's the kid.
The Sandlot?
You've got Eric stumped, which makes me think that this is not a real movie.
So that jersey was traded to Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Right? That was traded to Roddy. And Roddy brought it. It was hilarious. Mike was the guy that played the Jet, and Mike and Roddy they did this exchange, and Mike gave Roddy the jersey in a wine like box, right? It was like rolled up in a wine box.
Yeah,
and it turned out that Roddy used that wine box to put the shirt in. And then when they found it with the estate, they found the actual worn one. He had put it away so that way if they ever tried to come take it from him, he would at least keep the one that he wore.
I love the level of paranoia, though. And it's like, I did this thing in 1996 that they were like chastising me for. So they're going to come to my house and look for it.
Right. Well, at the time, I mean, those wrestling companies, that they did all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'd literally send a guy up to your house and be like, we need all of this because they owned everything.
Well, that's what Paul Heyman has said multiple times. That's what made ECW impossible. But since ECW went so under the radar, he could get away with it for a while until people found out about it because they like ECW was so kind of off the grid compared to the mainstream, at least when it initially started as Eastern Championship Wrestling. All those lawsuits kind of came more in those later years. 2 things really quick, because the second one is I know Eric had a point that I want to hear. But first point really quick, this is a random hot take of mine. Of all the great baseball movies, if you say The Sandlot is your favorite one, like that's just a lame take. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but of all the great baseball movies, if The Sandlot is your favorite one, you need to diversify your baseball movies. Eric, go ahead.
The correct answer is Major League.
Yes. And I would say Major League and A League of Their Own are both way better than The Sandlot.
For love of the game, hands down, no questions.
So is someone going to say Bull Durham to complete the Kevin? Well, we need Paul. You say Field of Dreams, Steve. Well, Steve said the
So when people sit there and they tell me like, I'm watching a perfect game, I'm watching a no-hitter, I'm watching a 0-0 pitcher duel into the 7th, and they're like, how can you watch this? Is so boring. It's like, get out of my house.
Oh yeah.
But when you sit there and you look at A League of Their Own and you're seeing what the psychology of the game is, what's happening in his head, what's going on, and how they break it down or whatever, it is by far like anybody who doesn't understand baseball. I'm like, watch this movie.
And it's
will tell you.
And unlike as great as his other baseball movies are, is Field of Dreams incredible. That's probably the most feel good one. And then Bull Durham has like the romantic comedy element. The real world aspect, Brendan, I really love. I love when you you kind of have that in Major League, right, Eric? Like you feel like the Detroit Tigers or the Cleveland Indians at the time. Like it kind of adds a little extra something to it, even if it's a fictional story.
What about Little Big League?
Steve, you said
Angels,
the natural,
Angels
right?
in the outfield.
I did say the natural.
The natural's phenomenal. And when Robert Redford, passed, and they were doing the tribute of him. Oh my God, this guy had so many great movies. The Natural may be my favorite one.
That home run.
Speaking of baseball movies that are classics,
Mark McGwire, that was actually mocked off of a moment with Mark McGwire to come full circle back to the first segment.
Right.
That was mocked off of a home run that Mark McGwire hit, where he hit the light tower.
Yeah, because that's right. Because the movie was made in the 80s. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the kid who played Kelly in Bad News Bears, right, is an adult now on the convention circuit. He's also been in a bunch of other stuff, but he just found a friend of his found the actual motorbike that he was riding in the film, had it restored, and presented it to him as a gift within the last year or whatever. It's this massive like gesture that a friend of his made, put thousands of dollars into the restoration or whatever, just to give it to him. But like, hey, here's the motorbike you rode as a kid in that movie in 1977.
And I got so excited about Major League, I still did it. I cut Eric off, even though I threw to him for his take. So Eric, if you remember, please.
You had a question about professional wrestling. Go.
Yeah, no, it's because I happened to see something in my feed that was in reference to the Montreal Screwjob, where Bret Hart, I think. It is now suggesting that Mr. McMahon was having a sexual relationship with what's his name?
No,
Shawn Michaels.
Listen,
yeah,
Bret Hart.
That's buzzing.
I love Bret Hart.
Yeah,
I love Bret Hart. I love Bret Hart. Okay, Bret Hart was an amazing guy. He came along, and I think a lot of things were accidental because there was one lady who used to make all the gear for all the wrestlers in the back, and they wanted something new for one of the WrestleManias, and she was making gear, and she's like, I don't have anything. All I've got is this pink, and they put him in pink, and then Vince McMahon saw it, and he was like, that's it. That's your thing. You guys are these tough guys in pink.
Yeah.
But they did so much. The Hart Foundation and the Bret Hart in his singles career did so much for professional wrestling, and then some things started happening that he didn't handle very well, and he handled very publicly. So when you have a problem with your pay, or you have a problem with who you're working with, or you have a problem backstage or something like that, you usually deal with it privately. Once you start coming out, and the fact that CM Punk came back from the pipe bomb and stuff like that is pretty amazing, because nobody does. Once you blow the door open, who's the big roid freak? Feed me more. What's the guy's name?
Ryan Reeves.
Ryback.
Right.
So here's the thing: is this dude could definitely be headlining still in AEW and WWE, like wherever he wanted to do, but he came out and he started whining to the public. So now Bret Hart is this legend who's done so many things, and his career ended because of a bad take of a move. He got super kicked by Goldberg. And so you see him at a convention, and 90% of the time he's talking about what a piece of shit Goldberg is, because he ended his career. He just he is a bona fide legend, but he won't shut up about the injustices that he's had or whatever. So, when he's sitting there going, oh, well, they had a look between them in the ring. Well, yeah, they had conspiratorial thing because they were being conspiratorial. They were doing this thing. And, for him to go, oh, well, it's him putting his name back in the news cycle. It's him getting people back on his side, whatever. I love Bret Hart, and, I would go see him at a convention or something like that, but it's something he's well known for. But you have to take 90% of the stuff that he says like that and just go, yeah, that's Bret.
It's sour grapes. And Bret, and he's an amazing storyteller. He'll give you his honest opinion. And when in terms of how he sets the stage, most people would who were around at the time will say that's accurate. However, how that skews his opinions of them and everything they do, it's always leans negative. Triple H, love him or hate him, whether he's done good things or bad things. From Bret Hart's mind, it's universal. He's a piece of garbage. Goldberg will always be a piece of garbage. Shawn Michaels and the Clique, Hall and Nash will always be garbage, no matter what. And Vince McMahon and the entire McMahon family will be garbage, because it's the Owen Hart thing, and it's the fact they did it. They made him drop the belt in Canada. Owen Hart, I understand, but he will never get over them not letting him keep the belt in Canada in '97. Go ahead.
But the thing that makes it interesting is that everything that he says is 5 degrees to the left of reality. So it's believable. Because you sit there and you look at it, and Vince McMahon is involved in a bunch of sex scandals. You had the Pat Patterson thing, who was involved in a bunch of behind the scenes homosexual inappropriate stuff that he was doing that he got away with. And so when you look at it, you go,
favor him.
You go, it actually might have happened because of all the other stuff that's surrounding it. So it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, it's plausible, but it's probably not true.
Right. 100%. Yeah, that's a great question.
Was he just sort of talking out of turn? It sounds like kind of. So yeah,
Right.
okay.
Well, what's
He's
funny
also
is
writing
bringing all this
SEO.
stuff up, and then there's a current story,
Yeah.
which is Becky Lynch was on. Her and Seth Rollins were on the Tom Segura show, and Tom Segura's talking to them, and Becky starts going on this tangent, just talking, right? And Seth is sitting there. He's actually eating and being quiet. He's eating, right? And she starts talking about there's a current WWE wrestler that is getting people canned and kicked out of wrestling on the female side if they don't engage with him sexually. And now you start putting all the 2 and 2s together, and the rumors have been Mr. Cody Rhodes has been the guy that doing it. And people are saying, well, it's also Cena. Right?
No, she said when he was coming up in I think it was OVW or what was the Florida one?
At Florida
But they said it when it was
Wrestling,
coming up, and the thing is, I don't think Cody Rhodes was part of the picture at that time. Like, he's definitely in there now. Like, he's very influential now. But you look at the way WWE treated him as a side piece. They put him in weird gimmicks and stuff like that. I don't think he had that kind of pull.
Tag team
what he said was Tom Segura said Cody Rhodes right after, and she didn't correct him.
Interesting.
Which is interesting, right?
How recent was that on the most recent episode of his podcast?
It was very recent.
Then that's going to take off. That'll take off like wildfire then. With the
I'm
way the
trying to
wrestling
find the exact
forums are
quote from her.
Reddit threads.
Yeah, let me find the exact quote.
And as you're looking for it, really quick, I just have to mention this because Paul Vato needs credit for it. He mentioned it in the chat. 8 Man Out. Phenomenal.
That's a very good one too.
8 Men Out is outstanding. You almost need to watch that for the history of it, for the historical purposes of it.
We have a writer, Anton, and we love Anton, but it's funny because Anton's very niche with Dungeons and Dragons, TTRPG. He's got his weird things that he does that he knows everything about. He asks me questions about baseball all the time, and it's funny because he just found out that a bunch of the sports movies that are out there are based on real people. And he's like, wait a second, 8 Men Out, what is this? Or Field of Dreams, are these real players? And so I was going through like educating him on all this stuff. And then for a week after that, every one of his articles, he was like, so my editor Brendan talks about baseball the way I talk about this and this and this. And he was bringing up baseball references that we had talked about that week and pulling them into his writing about TTRPG and stuff like that. So 8 Men Out is one of the ones I recommended to him. I was like, yeah, Shoeless Joe, that's a real thing. I said, it's stylized for the film. But they got the basic concept right. Is that 100%. These guys? But yeah,
they told the story the right way in terms of emphasizing the scandal. Yeah,
right, correct. Yeah,
Steve, you got
actually,
I'm trying to find.
Okay, so anyway, back to you, Brad.
No, I was just saying that actually brings us into the next concept here. We're talking about blurring lines between what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
Yes,
I'm always a big fan of cosplay. I love seeing, favorite characters or seeing people just having a good time with cosplay. But so fan groups that are showing up at Galaxycon, they've got car clubs, they've got cosplay groups. 501st is going to be there, the Rebel Legion. And they've got this group there that's these pro wrestling cosplayers. Now, I'm sure you've seen these reels and things that are coming up where these guys are dressing as the Macho Man. Randy Savage is a popular one. Sting is very popular. And they're going out to these conventions dressed as their favorite wrestler, which is cool. Fantastic. But the thing that's getting weird about it is, some of the wrestlers really like it. Mick Foley, if you're dressed as Mankind or something, he loves it. He wants to take a picture with you. He puts it on his social media, whatever. It's like he's giving permission. Please dress as my characters. But then you've got these guys that are dressing as like real guys that are deceased, like Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes has living children who are also on the convention scene. Cody Rhodes goes to a bunch of shows. Dustin Rhodes goes to a bunch of shows. So here's this guy walking up to Dustin Rhodes dressed as his deceased father, doing the lisp and doing the impression or whatever to his kid, and then wanting an interaction that he can put on social media of like Dusty interacting with Dustin. And it's like, I'm sitting there looking at that going like, I mean, you can tell that Cody is kind of like, he doesn't really like make a scene about it or whatever, but you can tell that Dustin is visibly upset. He is visibly uncomfortable with what's going on, and they keep doing it over and over again. And it's like, where do we draw the line with, boundaries here? Because like, if you want to dress as Kane or whatever, Kane is still alive. The Undertaker's still alive. Everybody in this picture, except for the two on the right, are still out on the scene doing stuff. What is appropriate, what's not appropriate? Where is the line drawn as far as respecting people's privacy and not wanting to interact in the way that you want them to interact when you come up for social media?
Yeah, no, definitely. And where do you draw the line in terms of paying tribute and also kind of just being a little too close for comfort? Because it's never going to be like an eerie thing as far it's obvious cosplaying, the novelty aspect, that the sense that it's supposed to be fake anyway maybe diminishes it and waters it down, makes it a little more palatable, but I'm caught in mouth, but yeah, got caught there bad, but and it may make it a little easier to stomach. But I'm with you, Brendan, because like you said, I mean, we lost Boss Man, didn't we? Big Boss.
Oh
Man?
yeah,
Ray Trailer
passed away. I forgot. Yeah,
exactly. But no, other than that, you're right. Because outside of Kane and a select few other, you have Glenn Jacobs, Mark Calloway, and Kevin Nash does stuff. Other than that, we've lost everybody as of late, or even further back in some cases. I mean, Macho Man's already been gone for about 10, 11 years now. So it's one of those things. Yeah, no doubt. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like you like it to a degree because of how near and dear you hold this stuff to you. But at the same time, it's all like, I don't know. It's like you said, are you crossing that boundary? And it kind of feels like they are sometimes, especially with even the recent passings.
Well, the boundary, I think, gets crossed more of forced interaction.
Right.
Like that's
the character
aspect.
That
these people are going out and then they're forcing that interaction into those people, the family, whoever it is, right? We see it, Jason David Frank's daughter had been doing some conventions with her dad's legacy. And then these guys come out fully decked as her dad and then try to act like Jason. And I'm sure that doesn't reside well. This is going to happen. It happens a lot. But I feel like in that world of wrestling, the fans take it to an extreme level.
Always. It's that, like Brennan said, the boundary. Yeah.
Yeah. But that cosplayer that dresses like this, they take it to that full extreme level of the character because the character is a character, not the person. Right. And
where do you separate it with a guy like Dusty Rhodes? His character very much was his personality, though.
Of course,
right.
And you have people that are like that, right?
But it's like the Elvis impersonation thing, because the Elvis, I think that works is because when you get a good one, they're spot on. And for so many people, Elvis is a relic of the past. I mean, there are people, Jen, what? I mean, when did Elvis pass away? Because either way, there are ultimately Gen Xers, I'm pretty sure, that are alive that didn't even really know Elvis at that time.
77 he died.
Okay, so there you go. So every millennial ultimately, right? So every millennial and below thinks of Elvis as this really almost age of antiquity type of thing. Where if you watch wrestling in the 90s or the 80s, this may be a little bit more, it may resonate a little bit more.
But again, you don't have Elvis impersonators walking up to Lisa Marie Presley and acting like they are her father. They'll talk about I modeled this after his eagle outfit that he wore for whatever tour or whatever. And they'll have those conversations, but they're not having conversations in character with the living, surviving family members.
So, and that leads me to my next question, because that's a great point. Is this more, as opposed to a cosplay convention type of thing, is this more of a reflection on wrestling fandom? Because it seems like everyone else who does this type of thing knows when to stop pushing and prodding, and they may not have that sense. And if you've met some diehard wrestling fans, and Brendan, this was also what we were talking about, and when we were talking about Canseco's teeth on our Facebook message thing, it's one of those things where it's all like, WWE fandom or pro wrestling fandom is great, but some people make it so much a part of their identity, they start to get lost in the sauce a little bit, and they think they are living that reality.
Now, Brett, I know that you're a big wrestling fan, so let me just make this point real quick. Yeah. Brett, you know that if you go to a live wrestling event and you've got a front row ticket and you jump the fence to get into the ring, what's going to happen?
Oh, you get in a potato for sure. It ain't great.
Right. So the baby faces are going to punch you. The heels are going to punch you. The referees are going to punch you because it is game on, right? So
and just for those not aware, a potato means a stiff shot. Yeah.
Right. So here's what happened recently with a wrestler named Crowbar, talking about the WCW again. Crowbar was around that era, and he was in WCW. I think he came over from hardcore wrestling or something like that, but he's still on the circuit. So you've got this guy who's a very famous Macho Man cosplayer, and he does a bunch of this stuff where he goes up and he interacts with the surviving friends and relatives of the Macho Man, and he does these things for social media, but he's in the front row. Crowbar has brought some of his weapons down and set them next to the barrier. This dude reaches over the barrier and picks up one of Crowbar's weapons and goes, "Here, brother, take this, smash him with it." And the dude looks at him, Crowbar looks at him, and he turns around to Tommy Dreamer, hands them the crowbar, so it's not assault with a deadly weapon, and then turns right back around and hips tosses this dude over the rail onto the concrete.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
So you've got a fan who's jumping the rail, who's interfering with somebody else's property, who's trying to become part of the show, and he got his ass kicked for it. And now
Yeah.
this dude, he's talking about a lawsuit, and I believe that if he filed a lawsuit, he would at least get the venue for the event that happened. Because I don't know how
Right.
much money Crowbar has to go after him if he's still playing gymnasiums and stuff like that.
Right.
But there is a legitimate case to be made for a lawsuit here. But it's like, dude, you made choices. Choices have consequences.
And Brendan, were you, and I know we got to move on, but Brendan, you were a fan. When did you like first start watching? Give me like a time mark, a time stamp.
Oh,
When you
dude.
really got into, was it like territory days, like NWA Crockett type of thing? Was it a little
No,
bit
so
later
when
than
I was
that?
a kid, it was the days of Survivor Series when they had the 4-man and the 5-man teams.
Yeah, gotcha.
And my aunt
Coming up
was
this
dating this guy who was really into professional wrestling. So every year on Thanksgiving, they played Survivor Series, and it was on East Coast time, so you could watch it and then still get over to your dinner and things like that. So we would watch it there and be playing dominoes. That's also where I learned how to play dominoes. I'm playing dominoes and watching professional wrestling. So it's in the days of,
Love
Jake
it.
the Snake Roberts and
Okay, gotcha.
Macho Man and Hulk Hogan in the
So-
original runs in WWF.
Right. Okay. So there you go. So you've at least are familiar enough with some of the stories of back then, and maybe even a little further back of like, the Atlantic coastal area, the WCW.
Well,
Crockett
and the
promotion,
magazines
Flair.
that I used to get, PWI and stuff like that, kept me appraised on what was
There you
going
go.
on with Eastern
So you-
Championship Wrestling and the territories and things.
There
Yeah.
you go. So you know how bad it was when we talk about it. Now, if they jump over the barricade or the guardrail to
Oh,
get
yeah.
involved, back then it was bad. There are like instances where Roddy Piper's, doing a show in Carolina or something and work a match with Flair, and the crowd is so raucous, so just venomous, and they're going crazy. They're
I
jumping the
forget who it
guardrail.
was.
They attack Piper. Because Piper's a judo black belt. Piper was a legit badass.
Yeah.
He hip tosses this guy onto the concrete floor and just starts ground and pounding him until security gets there. And the guy went to jail with like a busted up face, and the promotion didn't give a damn. And they're all like, yeah, bring it on if you want to. You attacked one of our wrestlers. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who it was, but in the territory days, there was a guy who
Mhm.
was playing like he got blinded.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there ringside, and one of the fans pulled a gun. And he sees the gun, but he can't tell the guys in the ring what's happening with the gun because kayfabe still exists.
Yep.
And he's supposed to be blind. And so thankfully the referee turned around, saw it. They were able to tackle the dude, get the gun away and stuff like that. But like, it was such a thing where like, he couldn't even let people know that he could see that something was about to happen because it would ruin the
Wow.
business.
Yeah, it's just incredible. Because and it was all about you go to the grave, keeping the business. You don't expose the business. That's rule number one. You keep it under wraps because that's what it's all about.
It's a Jim
And if you
Cornette
do
story
break that
that
fourth
involves
wall,
the
it's John
Freebirds.
Cena.
It has to be. I was going to say it has to be a Jim Cornette story because that's the Piper story. I just told you I first heard from Jim Cornette.
It was
but I still
JYD.
believe it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
because JYD,
JYD.
he wrestled blind the back end of his career. I love it. Oh,
It was
my God.
JYD and the Freebirds were in the ring. I'm watching the video right now, and there it is. And yeah, no, he's sitting there,
Incredible.
and you can see him trying not to react. That's something. All right,
Incredible.
cool.
Yeah, Steve,
All right,
go
so-
ahead.
That's pretty funny. So I did find out the information. Paul, thank you for your advice. It was Bert Kreischer or Kreischer. How do you say it? Kreischer, Bert Kreischer. And
Kreischer, yeah.
so it was
Two Bears,
on-
One Cave. Yeah.
it wasn't on that podcast. What it was on is actually he has a show that's called Something Burning. Looks like it's probably just a little, interview short, very casual. Looks like it's done maybe through his social media videos and not necessarily like a full produced thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's
Lynch,
cooking. He cooks you dinner or whatever. Somebody's cooking.
yeah. So again, Seth Rollins is eating and whatever. Kreischer asked Lynch if he would. This is courtesy of Fightful.com. I want to make sure I give them credit. Kreischer asked Lynch if he would know an individual if she were to name him. When he had brought the conversation that Lynch shared a story that there was there once being a main roster, main talent in WWE who would get women wrestlers blacklisted after pursuing relations from them. And what she said was, I'm not going to name the names, but there was a guy on the main roster who it was like, be careful because one, he'll try to sleep with you. If he sleeps with you, then he'll blacklist you. And then if he tries to sleep with you and you don't sleep with him, he'll also blacklist you. So there was this line that you had to walk, this tightrope. And then Kreischer asked Lynch if he knows the person, and Lynch replied, "You know him definitely. At one point, he got my number, and I remember being like, how do you walk this line?" So there was always this thing of, if you get into a relationship and things go south, you're going to fire the guy. They're always going to fire the girl. So this is a scary thing. So she brought this out. Now, this is what you just mentioned, that exposing of the business, which is really weird because Becky Lynch is such a staple in that. But today, this is one of those things that WWE is reeling from these comments, because that's saying that there is now this exposure into the back of the business that Triple H is giving, right?
In the wake,
you say that
in the wake of a regime change. Yeah.
You said that Becky Lynch is a staple, but here's the messed up thing about professional wrestling. You look at their roster right now. You name one woman on that roster that if she got hurt, got pregnant, whatever, that they're not just going to ride around and put somebody else in the spot, because it just happened. Somebody was holding the title. Yeah. And she's an Uso. She's part of the Samoan dynasty, and she got pregnant. And they just,
Naomi. Yeah.
And they immediately just rode around her. So Becky Lynch gets injured, or Becky Lynch has a baby, or whatever's going on, and they just ride around her. So she has to fight to get back on that roster. So when you look at the difference between the men and the women in the business, the men have a much stronger foothold, even if they're mid-card, talking about a main event woman who's on the roster, and it's messed up.
Yeah.
But her pointing this out, and that's what I was getting at, is that she's at a point right now with the promotion where she's been playing the heel role with Rollins, and can literally just not be included moving forward. And I don't know that she's missed.
I think at this point, I think she's missed to a degree that people will know she's gone, but she's not a can't lose anymore at this point. No, she's not. At one point she was, like in 2019, 2020, 2021, even the man character, no doubt. She was the most popular thing in the business. She was as over could be. Now she's more so known. This isn't to diminish her. She's had an incredible career. She's one of the best of her era. But in terms of how she's written on television, she's now more kind of known as Seth Rollins' devious wife than she is as her own entity. And I'm not saying that's what she, in totality, that's what she is. I'm talking about right now in terms of how she's portrayed and what they put out there in terms of their programming. So I don't know necessarily if her individuality will be missed as much as it would have been a few years ago.
Sure.
Yeah,
and not to cut anything short, but we're running out of time here. And I did want to talk about the last thing that I think is really interesting about Galaxycon. Have you guys ever heard of BarCon? The folks that don't do conventions, Steve and Erik, be quiet for a minute, but Brett and Paul, do you know what BarCon is?
Not until you mentioned it earlier in the first segment. So I hadn't even heard of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that happens for creators and that happen with celebrities and things that are convention adjacent that aren't necessarily part of the convention. And we kind of lump those all together and we call it BarCon, because a publisher might have a party where they invite, some press and a bunch of their special guests and a bunch of their invited guests or whatever to come out and just have some socialization. And there have been some incidents that have happened with inappropriateness because alcohol is involved and things like that, or people are trying to get back to their hotel and they catch a ride with the wrong person. So safety is an issue or whatever. And a lot of conventions are taking charge of these after hours things, ticketing them. So they're making a little bit of money, but they're also providing security and they're making sure that people are safer in an environment. So Galaxycon after hours, go ahead and throw that slide up, Erik. They've got a bunch of stuff. And if you look on here, there's burlesque dancers, there's cosplay stuff, there's drag shows that are happening, there's comedy, there's music. And one of the things that I think is really, really fantastic about this is it brings in a more adult element, because a lot of times when you go during the day, there's a lot of children there, there's families there. So you're not going to see, look at Ginger O Snap right there. She is a cosplay burlesque dancer. And I went to her Instagram and I was like, wow, she's got an amazing Amy Pond. She's got all these great different cosplays and stuff, but she also does a stage show. So she's going to be emceeing a bunch of this stuff. And if you look at just the variety, and it just happens to be most of the burlesque and most of the drag shows are at the top of the page, but this goes on. They've got 15 or 20 different acts that are happening in the 3 or 4 days of this event that are happening after hours. And like I said, the alcohol is being controlled. There's security at the events. They're ticketed events. So it's not just some rando at the bar that you have to worry about or getting back to your hotel. A lot of these conventions also are attached to the host hotel. I was talking about Planet Comic-Con the convention center's got a walkway that goes right over to the host hotel. So safety getting home from the after hours events. I think this is fantastic. And I think a lot more conventions need to look at this after hour stuff and take more control of it for the safety of the people who are going to be participating, because these events are going to happen, but whether or not it's going to be at a safe place or whether it's going to be in a locale that's close to the hotel or whatever is something the convention can take charge of and make it better experience for the convention goers.
And what are your thoughts on that, Steve? As someone who has to handle, unlike us, Brennan and I, we've done stage stuff. Obviously, everything Erik does is more so like in terms of how it's edited and produced and put out there to the masses from the the multimedia side. Paul's done some performance-based stuff like we have. But Steve, you are so on have to keep your thumb on everything in terms of the day-to-day operations and logistics of it all. Has safety ever been a concern for you as someone who may not be directly in charge of event security because that's more on the venue side, but still curious because it is something that that's representing you as as someone in the industry?
Well, the first thing is you have to be aware of what people's social interactions are, or what their history is, right? And I'm not going to get into naming names, but we have at some of the different events like the Diecast Super Convention, we have a Hall of Honor dinner, which is after show hours, that does have alcohol involved and has had celebrities partaking in the past and acting very out of pocket. And you see that, and then you're already kind of aware of these people because of stories you've heard. And Paul can tell you that there's people that on the surface, you're like, oh, that's the greatest person ever. They're so good. And then on the back end, we really understand that this person actually is a different animal. They are someone different. We brought up Bob Saget earlier, right? Anybody who thought Bob Saget was the funny dad on TV or whatever.
He wasn't Danny Tanner.
He
wasn't Danny Tanner. Yeah.
He was literally doing coke and bringing in hookers. Like he was literally hookers and blow. Like, and
had one of the raunchiest stand-up acts of his era. Like made
the Aristocrats.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
We see these situations. We see these things occur. I've had circumstances, situations that I brought up. And Paul, I definitely want your feedback on this. But one particular situation that stands out in my mind is this particular time where we had an event that had all these cosplayers. And we had a venue that wanted the cosplayers there, and they did a sponsorship to have the cosplayers come. And I personally went to that event to sit there, and I actually worked this out with the bar, and this was no joke, that only one bartender was allowed to make drinks for the cosplayers. And then that bartender had to be the only one to deliver the drinks to the cosplayers because these guys would come in and they want to buy drinks for them and everything. And the reason I did one bartender is I wanted there to be no gray area as to who the person was that made the one drink, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking about is you took control of that event and you made sure that your talent was safe.
Yeah, and we absolutely, and you have to do that stuff because there are people with malicious and ill intent out there at these things. So it has become in our industry more standardized to bring that control within your house. So like, for example, the Diecast Super Convention, I mentioned the Hall of Honor, but we have showroom events with the manufacturers hosting parties each night, right? And those are all encompassed on the property, managed by the property, overseen by the property. When the celebrity guests or the different in that world, the manufacturers, designers come to those events, the security is specifically told, hey, when you see the roster of our guests in there, please, pay a little extra attention and make sure that there's not an aggressive fan situation, because that's what happens, right? Paul, how many times have you seen that out in the comedy circuit? Because people are drinking and they're out there drinking on these stages, and then all of a sudden they turn around and they think they're part of the show, or after the show in a meet and greet, they think that they've got the tough guy moniker to come in and say some things because someone made some jokes about something that wasn't necessarily comfortable to them, right?
No, 100%. And first of all, I guess I should maybe apologize for my actions on the past three the past three conventions that you've had me at. So it won't happen again if you bring me back. But other than that, no, it is a serious topic. It is a serious matter. when you introduce alcohol, we're all adults. We should be able to monitor ourselves. But as especially if there's open bars or things like that, things will might go sideways quickly. So it's great to see that they're taking control of this before. And I've seen this at Podfest, where tonight we're going to go do karaoke at O'Shucks or wherever, and nothing untoward's happened there. But it's an open bar, and people are partying. Yeah. And even though they're providing transportation to and from, they have no control over what happens or something like that. So I like the idea of keeping it under control. It's a ticketed event, so you've probably provided an ID. People know who's coming and going. So I think it's benefits everybody.
When they scan them now, so they have a record at the door of everybody in and out. It's not just looking at it.
Exactly.
One thing that I did notice
people that I've met.
Eric, we're going to need to go ahead and send Paul a new ALM that order for him. That'd be great. Your dial-up is on point right now.
His minutes are running out, so he's getting
your dial-up is on point.
Thank you.
Oh my God. So, guys, we're going to go to a break because Paul's internet needs a rest. It needs to take a nap. When we come back, we'll be talking about the upcoming books for the week. So stick around. This is the C3 Pod.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comicon.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comicon.com.
And welcome back to the C3 Pod. This segment of the show is brought to you by our friends at the Nerd Bar, Las Vegas, downtown in the Fremont Street Experience. You can visit the Nerd Bar on the second floor there. All kinds of cool stuff. And in fact, they have the Friends couch that you can actually go take pictures on at the Nerd Bar. And the reason why you're going to want to do that is because if you follow our Patreon, you're going to find out all the information about Friends. But anyways, you'll have to check that out. Patreon is there for you. Please give us
the best special features episode I think we've done. We've been talking for like an hour without the recording going for the main show, just for the Patreon. This is the longest one we've done, and I think it's the most interesting.
Yeah.
And you know what else too that just brought back full circle? Brendan once again's talking. But anyways, we'll get back to that. That's in the Patreon. Don't worry about it.
The sky is blue.
Stop by the Nerd Bar. See our friends there. Tell them thank you for the continued support of the C3 Pod. Lots of fun stuff. But go get those pictures of yourself on the Friends couch and send them to Brendan Allen. He wants to see those pictures.
I made Johnny an offer on that couch, and he flipped me off.
Exactly. But we're going to get into the comics of the week. So, Mr. Brendan Allen, take it away.
Oh, is it my turn? Do I get to talk now? Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay. All right. The first one for this week, we're doing Comics Keys. Batman #4 has got a first appearance in it. Right there on the cover, a guy named the Minotaur says, organized crime in Gotham City has become really, really organized. As Bruce Wayne investigates the crown of storms, Batman pursues anarchy and discovers the criminal conspiracy hiding in plain sight that will change the game for crime and criminals in Gotham City and the world. This is a global scheme that's happening apparently with a very, very large man in a Squid Games mask.
Really quick,
Bruce Wayne is going to be appearing at Galaxycon after dark.
Hey, the list was great. And honestly, really quick, before we get into the analysis and the reaction, I have to say, last week I called when you were gone, Steve. I called because I did a really half-ass, if you even want to call it that, give it that much credit. Mitch Hedberg. And Brendan called me out, and I'm all like, all right, so you could do better. And he actually did a really good one. So as he was doing the list there, reading the solicit, Brendan, you could pick which one. Can I at least get one of these before we wrap up today, read in a Mitch Hedberg?
Oh.
One of the solicits.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe down the road.
Now,
that's fine.
I think it's important before we go into the next cover on this one that we let Paul Vato give his take on this one because Paul has lived a portion of his life as the Minotaur.
Yes. And his internet's giving out.
I like it.
Can you hear us?
Obviously. Please send me some comics so I can read these at home. So thank you. Said Paul Comics. Yeah, I don't know about the Minotaur though, but I love the whole action sequence there with the Batman in his hand, in the palm of his hand.
Wait, hold
What
up.
does that say
Count the
about
fingers.
Minotaur?
Is this AI?
Oh,
Oh my
my.
Those might be
gosh.
AI.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he's got weird AI in it.
He does. He has 6 digits.
Whoa.
There's 7.
No, there is the pinky. You're right. The pinky, because I saw Batman's cape extend. I didn't see. You're right.
There's
Oh my
7.
goodness, there are 7 digits. Does
Yeah.
Minotaur have 7 fingers?
Whoa.
We're gonna have to
going on
fat.
here?
Eric,
Yo, I'm going to tell you right now,
Eric,
if
you
you guys
check
don't
and
do an
see.
article on this and get it out by end of the day, I do not know what you guys are doing over there, but this
Yeah.
needs called out.
Eric, can someone confirm really quick that Minotaur the character does he have 7 fingers?
Well,
That's
this
like
is a new character, right? So
right. It's the first appearance, isn't it? So
Well, and we
Sure,
record
I
these
guess
early,
you
so
could
I'm not going to
7
have the
fingers,
review
but let's
copy.
be honest.
right, because
I'm
maybe
not going to have the review copy till next week. So there's
maybe-
no way for me to even look.
well, maybe canon not like maybe in terms of the canon, in terms of creatively, he's supposed to in the comic. We wouldn't know until we open the pages. But if that's an AI blunder, I agree with Steve. You guys have to get something out there.
Wow. Okay.
7
well, anyways,
digits.
Well, and look at the ones on the left are oddly curved.
Yes.
Right. The digits on the right
Yeah.
side of it look right, but the ones on the left are oddly curved, like they're all
And-
hitchhiker's thumbs.
I was gonna say the one that's sort of at center, that
Yeah.
looks like a thumb.
Yeah, 100%. It's like it's as if it's a thumb this way. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That
then
is
and then other
bizarre.
3 digits, prodding that way, protruding that way.
If there's a reason
That-
for this, it better be a damn
So
good
are you
reason, because
saying
that is
that-
off-putting.
It has to be creative, right? Like you would think. Maybe
Well,
like he's
I think
Oh.
if anything, you guys got to pose up a poll and say, what is this?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
is
it's
strange.
also
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
mean, does AI also mess up cartoon fingers, though? That's
and-
the thing. Does AI also confuse that?
and honestly, Eric, this has actually I'm just gonna say, not to pat us on the back too much, but we maybe even in addition to an article, maybe just clip off this whole little couple, this whole first cover here. Yeah. This is
I'm
a great
just
little
taken away by what this potentially is, but what I'd like to do is let's go to a cover that we know won't be AI. Let's take a look at the Jim Lee cover B variant of this book.
Right. So this one is an open order cover, and I've been wanting to show more different open order covers people can get. You don't have to pay the premiums to get a cool cover, because this one right here, this is dope. This reminds me of the '89 Batmobile when they're coming through, and or not '89. What was the one with Chris O'Donnell, where he stole the Batmobile and they ended up in the glow in the dark?
Batman Forever.
They got attacked.
Forever.
Yeah, it was Batman
Yeah,
Forever.
Batman
This
Forever.
looks like it could be a scene from that movie with the graffiti all over and stuff. It's really cool. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the eyes are immediately drawn to the background, and then the characters themselves, that's just like classic Batman and Robin in any era. And in this era, particularly cool because the suits look good.
Well,
Well, I
and
like
the
that
fact that
at
Batman
least
was
signed
favorite-
it in the
my favorite
graffiti
thing.
style there next to Batman's left fist there.
Yeah, you're right. That looks really good. Eric, what were you saying?
Oh, is Tim Drake Robin again? Because this looks more like Tim.
It
than-
does look like I was gonna say, it looks like an old Damien, but it looks because of the stick element. But at the same time, you're right, and the suit looks more like Tim Drake as well. Yeah,
See, I
don't
just
know.
came back from the
I like
gym a little
that.
while ago, and all I can see is that's a reverse lunge.
yeah.
My
And then the
quads
other-
You know
hurt
what's
a lot.
funny too?
Get the
is
knee down.
The
get
very
knee down.
bottom left corner, down by the left foot of Robin, just above it.
Yeah,
That's Jim Lee's signature.
Mm.
It's pretty cool
So
how
you-
he,
so you
how
see
he tagged the wall with it.
and then you see.
Yeah. So he's got
And
his.
then-
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Oh, I wonder what else
This
is
is a
in
great
there, because
This is a
This
great
background
cover.
gotta
is going to
be-
have a lot.
This
to
is
it.
a this is a
It's
great.
going
I
to
see
have a
6.
lot.
I see 619. I see I see all kinds of cool. This is a
booyaka,
great cover.
booyaka.
619. Hey, booyaka, boo-
That's
See, that'd
my
be-
barrio.
What a. That's I'm
Well,
gonna
and
stop
that
myself. I'm
Anarchy
stopping myself. I'm not
that's
gonna start
the,
talking about Rey Mysterio. I'll never shut up. I love
That
him too much.
Anarchy A is the Joker's Anarchy A, right? So that's
Mhm.
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this
Like-
is this
So-
looks great.
Wasn't Anarchy listed as a character? Because back in the '90s, Tim and Anarchy also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Anarchy is listed in the solicit. Batman pursues anarchy and discovers a criminal conspiracy.
this
Yeah,
is
that's awesome.
This is probably honestly my favorite Batman cover. I love even with the DC all in the one corner and the Batman logo in the other. This is one of my favorite comprehensive looks of any Batman cover we've seen on the show recently. I'm not even
No,
lying.
these
This-
are this
yeah,
is definitely
this
one of
is
the better
really-
covers that we've seen
yeah.
in a while.
No hyperbole. This is really
Yeah.
cool.
It's done very
Nice.
well. But again, it's Jim Lee, right? So it's
Yeah,
hard
of
to,
course.
and that's why I even set it up, because I hadn't seen the cover. I did not look at this cover prior to this. And when I set it up saying a cover that we know will be done, not AI, this is exactly that. This is very impressive.
Yeah.
This one, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. The next one up is Spider-Man Noir #3. This one's got a first appearance of a character called Plasma Man, which I'm sure is the character that's chasing him in that scene right there. It says, haunted, Gwen Stacy takes the investigation of her father's death into her own hands and sets out to unmask Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Spider-Man Noir's got another new rogue on his hands, meet Plasma Man. This, again, it evokes the noir, the titular noir. It's got the detective feel to it, but also that red, I like it when they're doing the black and white with the red
Yes.
accents on it. Any other color on these covers or on the interiors of this just feels off-putting and weird to me, but the red somehow works.
And you mentioned that last week. That's a great callback to the point you brought up last week, because that is the one color in contrast that kind of can be interjected, and it works real well. At this point, I mean, I'll even ask, is Spider-Man Noir one? Because I know, Steve, you've been critical of Marvel. Even last week, we were critical on the Marvel and many different elements. But is Spider-Man Noir maybe like collectively one of the best things they have going right now? Because it sure seems like it is. I mean, every cover's awesome. The character's trendy. He's appearing in the movies, the Spider-Verse movies. The comic books are starting to take off. Like, it just seems like a real win for Marvel.
I think the fact that this character has kind of like an open universe.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of reminds me of like the Mandalorian in Star Wars, where the time period was its own kind of like standalone, and they can kind of do whatever they want.
Possibilities
so
are
you're
endless.
getting some new fresh take, but then you're also getting callback to previous reference stuff and everything. And because it's got that gangster feel and that gangster swag, it has that dark tones, that
totally,
grimy underground, stuff to it. And I think that bodes very well for this. So apparently we're supposed to mention Gameday dots.
Nobody knows Gameday dots?
Oh, there we go. Go ahead. Absolutely. Have at it, Brendan.
No, Eric, come on. Educate us on Gameday dots.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. You're talking Kirby Crackle?
Oh, never mind. Okay, so Gameday.
By Gameday dots either.
Okay, so Gameday dots, look at his thigh right there. You see that the shading is done with these dots that are equal distance on there, and that calls back to the printing style that they used to use for coloring comics. Comics weren't actually colored. They only had 2 or 3 different colors they were using for printing, so they would make the dots different sizes in the panels to evoke a color that wasn't actually that color. So I think it's really cool that on this cover, and I don't know if they do this interior or not, but a lot of the shading is done with these Gameday dots, and the way the artists would do it is they had this sheet that they would cut out the shape and then put it on there to do the shading with. And it was invented by a guy named Gameday, and so they're called Gameday dots. But
so it is like a modern day Kirby Crackle in a way. That's really cool.
Paul, when they're talking about dots, this is not the dots you're talking about, right?
I was thinking about micro dots, Dosen dots. Yeah, no, that's not what. Or ice cream.
Dippin' dots.
Any of the dots.
The future.
Yeah.
That's where I figured he would go. Paul, it's Blackout Wednesday, by the way. How do you feel about this cover on a Blackout Wednesday?
I love it. I think there should be more. Well, first of all, send Paul comics, but after that, there should be drinks, martinis, something. The scene that today, as we record this, breaking kayfabe here, is Blackout Wednesday, so I'm getting ready for that. But I like that noir out Wednesday.
All right, so let's look at the alternate cover on this one. This is a 1 of 25 incentive variant done by Nogi-san. I'm not going to even say anything. I want to hear your guys' impressions.
Hell yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Hell yeah. Go ahead, Eric, Paul, Steve.
Done very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Done. Love it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
everything.
Well, I was just gonna say, like how Brennan says, like there's a timeless element to spaghetti Western, samurai films. There's a timeless element to the pulp, crime caper, card boiled criminal fiction. And if you have the right character, as we've talked about, Steve, Spider-Man is as interchangeable as any pop culture figure out there. This is gonna work. Thank you. Give it to me. Yes, please. Yeah. Take my money. Yeah.
Absolute fan of this one for sure. Done very, very well.
But like the reflections in puddles right there. So like they don't have to put rain. You can tell it's raining because there's puddles. Like this is literally a 3-color image, and it's really only one color because it's black and it's just gradient black, but there's only 3 gradients. There's absence of black, there's total black, and then there's a gray in between. But he has depicted everything about this perfectly to where you know exactly what's going on. You can see the reflections of the light, you know they're in the city, you know it's raining. Like this is a beautiful cover, and again with that negative space, so many places for signatures on here, so many places for remarks. It's a beautiful cover.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
All right, the next one up is Wiccan Witches Road #1. Wiccan, I guess, is a series. I don't know a whole lot about it, but this one says that there's a new villain. They don't say who it is, but it says something Wiccan this way comes. A dark, macabre adventure awaits down the Witch's Road that will reshape Wiccan and the magical fabric of the Marvel Universe forever. Wiccan and Hulkling. Oh, okay, it's Wiccan and Hulkling. There we go. All right. Arrive back on Earth, but nothing is ever easy for Marvel's favorite former space emperor.
Steve, I think this kind of taps into something you've talked about in the show in the past, in that when Marvel really got going on the cinematic side, obviously they've always had a presence in the film industry, going back to, Avi Arad, but like in the MCU days, the Kevin Feige days, it very much used to be like they would base their films off of recent comics, or even they dated comics, but always with the source material. Now, since those are so popular, it seems like they're kind of doing the opposite to produce more material on in the pages. And I feel like this is kind of one of them. Wiccan's an interesting character, and Hulkling, but at the same time, we're kind of trending in this direction where so many of the Avengers and Marvel characters are established. So now it's kind of like a Teen Titans kind of deal where
all they're doing is setting up the young Avengers.
Sidekicks.
That's all they're doing.
Exactly. Sidekicks, sons, daughters, nephews, proteges. They're setting up young Avengers. You're seeing them do it in the TV shows and the movies they're bringing in big time actors to play these younger characters. Wiccan is one of them. He's popular because he's one of Wanda Maximoff's children and Vision's children. He's just one of those characters that has really caught steam, caught some fire in recent years. And Steve, I think this is an instant where they're just trying to ride that wave.
I think that's what you see here. And as I mentioned, this is that open door to young Avengers, right?
Yes, no doubt.
And they've got stuff planned down the road anyways. Plus, we don't know what their take and their twist is going to be with Secret Wars, since we know it's now multi-universe, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that going to be one of the things that's going to get pulled in? Is that there's going to be, Universal's, different groups from different universes pulled into battle one, Emperor Doom, what I mean, or whatever. So I don't know. These have a tendency to not do well at the newsstand, but then down the road, something gets introduced. And Erik, this is probably really strong up your alley, where they'll go in and cinematically, all of a sudden, they'll involve like a moment that happened in some random comic somewhere, and all of a sudden that comic becomes a trending minor key, right?
Yeah, no, that's definitely always a possibility. But also it's interesting to see the Witch's Road, which was something that was new for the Agatha show.
Yes,
make its way back into the Marvel Comics universe.
And Erik, is it like Wiccan? Wiccan really kind of is still riding the traction that the show got. That show is actually very popular with the circles who like more of that sorcerer and witchcraft wizardry type of element that Marvel's trying to bring in with Wanda, with Agatha, with the different Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme elements. Like, don't you feel this is kind of still riding that hype train a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, to the point where it even kind of feels a little late.
Right. Like, now we're late 2025.
Ready to go 6 months ago.
That's a great point. Because now everyone's just looking forward to Doomsday or the next Spider-Man movie. Right.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they do this stuff too to call back to something that had been out, to like redraw eyes, especially when you're thinking streaming concept. Because the streaming concept now, it doesn't have to do with how well it did in the moment that it aired. It has everything to do with how valuable it is of content to continue to be watched, seen, referenced, looked at.
And you have
right, because it's drawing you back to those.
Right, and that's a great point too, because you have to wonder, will Wiccan ultimately be one of those characters, right? Like in hindsight, there's a lot of shows that what was it, Chapek greenlit when Iger was out before Iger came back, that they probably think back in hindsight, like, did that really need to be a show? Like, especially when you look back at how some of them were managed. Even Moon Knight, which I absolutely love. Like, they have no plans for Oscar Isaac moving forward, it seems like. You forget about that show, and in real time, that show is
They
awesome.
literally
Like,
did that deal with him because he had a Star Wars obligation.
The Disney element. Yeah, there's a Disney element.
They weren't moving forward with part of what they were going to do with him. And they're like, we have this contract that we have to work
So
in.
they just shuffled them in the Disney itinerary. Or
That's my opinion.
Rolodex.
I don't know this for fact, but I'm telling you that's what it looks like.
They shuffle them to another Disney, a Disney property, Disney brand.
Yeah, they did the same thing with what's his face who plays Winter Soldier,
Bucky,
right?
Yeah, Sebastian Stan
played Luke.
Was that not Paul Vato playing Winter Soldier?
So
I mean,
it's the arm.
Check my.
I mean, I would vote Paul for Juggernaut all day.
Ooh. Can we get a little on the Juggernaut biatch, Paul? I don't know if he knows what I'm referencing.
Yeah,
he does. He can hear you just about 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true too.
I love how he's just there. At this point in the podcast, Paul is just here. Oh my God, Brendan, you got your wish.
Yeah, no, this is great. It's fantastic. So if you guys keep waiting for him to talk and he can't talk, so just move on. It's fine. All right. Next, we have a Hulk Smash Everything. It's a 5-issue limited miniseries that sees Hulk rampage across the Marvel Universe and into the cosmos. This feels a lot like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Basically, Hulk Smash Everything.
Yeah.
Hulk has got some really cool titles out right now. This one says a guaranteed smash hit. Is Hulk really the strongest there is? Sure, he's stronger than most people, but is he stronger than everything? Dinosaurs, planet, gravity. So this seems to me like they're taking their concept of Hulk, this superhuman who smashes everything, and just putting him in different scenarios that are not going to go anywhere outside of this mini, but are just kind of fun to watch. It's fun to watch Deadpool kill Captain America, but you really don't want Captain America to be dead. Right. So this feels like one of those. It's going to be fun, but it's a 5-issue mini, and it's probably happening outside of continuity.
This is basically like my spirit animal. So I completely, absolutely 100% recognize this character because this is Steve's alter ego.
Steve has this tattooed on his left butt cheek. I've seen it. It's
Steve smashed everything.
I think they based this cover off of Steve's backside.
No, I have my thing is that I don't. I'll have things that bother me, and I don't say anything. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And then things build up, and then all of a sudden I Hulk out, and everything that builds up to it comes out.
That's a great point. Because everyone says, when people are like that, they have a short fuse. No, they don't. They have a long fuse and a big explosion. That's the difference.
I think Brendan calls that emotional constipation.
Yeah, your fuse.
Yeah.
Oh, my shrink has called it justified anger. Like, it sounds like tacky, but literally, even shrinks will give you they say it's healthier to get it out than to not, because then it's just corrosive. And that's why I say it's a long fuse, big bang, big difference.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why Hulk is so identifiable, is because people look at it and they go, you've got all these people who put up with shit at work or at school or wherever they're at, and they just want to rage out. And when you see it on the pages, it's an emotional release. Seeing Hulk just go, no, that's not the way it's going to go. I'm going to just break things. And that's why, what are those rooms called where you go in and you smash shit? Is Smash Room? What's it called?
Rec Room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's the same kind of thing. So yeah, no, totally get it.
Paul Vato's house after this podcast.
Yeah, right. It's cathartic, and that really taps into Brandon, because that's a great point about the emotional resonance of how great Marvel Comics ultimately is with these key characters, going back to the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby years, Steve Ditko, all the glory years when they were really just cranking out gold. It's because they tapped into something DC wasn't tapping into as much, is that human element. DC is very much superpowered people trying to be human. Marvel is human people learning how to be superpowered, because ultimately at their core they're just still regular people.
What do we got next?
Sure. Next up is Doctor Strange #1. This one's got the first appearance of the Royal Family of Heaven and the first appearance of Jesus Christ. What is that? Vribodin, an evil, dark elvish sorcerer, an evil, dark elvish they said evil so many times in that. Stephen Strange stranded. After becoming a sorcerer supreme of Asgard, Strange lost his chance at redemption and revenge against Doom when Loki murdered Thor, cutting Midgard off from the other 9 realms. With no way home and few allies remaining in Asgard, Strange travels to Alfheim to investigate an emerging crisis. So Stephen Strange off-world, dealing with Asgardian crime on an elf planet.
All for it. The cover's whatever. The cover kind of looks like almost like 1970s, 80s sci-fi novel, which isn't bad. I'm just saying that's kind of what it alludes to. The solicit you read, I'm all in. Anything with that really taps into the cosmic side of the Norse mythology, which is what Thor has really done when done well. Yes, it's Asgardian. Yes, it alludes to all the Nordic, all that great Nordic ancient stuff that makes for great stories in any medium. But what Marvel does is they tweak it to really emphasize the cosmic aspects. And you could add the mythological, the cosmic, and the mystical with Strange and Thor. That's really one of those crossovers that myself as a Marvel fan really goes after. So I love the
I'm going to give you
solicit.
What is going on with that figure in red right there? What is her foot on? Where is her back foot? And what are her hands doing on that sword? Who holds a sword like that?
Yeah, right.
It looks like she was riding a pogo stick
on the hill. Steve, what were we going to say? Yeah,
I'm disappointed in you.
Why?
Because as much as I value your take on these comics and where they go and the lineage and all of that and everything, this is not a Doctor Strange storyline. This is the wrong character in the wrong universe doing this thing.
So many mystical things. I get you.
He's an in and out character.
At his core,
Doctor Strange is the side piece.
No, he is not.
Yes, he is.
That is a flawed take.
No, because he's part of everyone's universe.
Yeah, but as a side piece in terms of a crossover character, yes. But he himself is not. There's countless. He's one of the most crucial components in the entire Infinity Saga and the sequel wars. Yeah, but those are crossover.
Wait, but let's not take the film universe and put it with the comics universe.
What I'm saying is what I'm trying to make a point on is,
Brendan, the Infinity Saga is based off of the 1991 Jim Starlin comic, in which Doctor Strange is a huge character, and the Jonathan Hickman 2015 Secret Wars, other than Doom, he's the biggest character in that, other than Franklin Richards and Omega Man.
You realize you just opened up your chest and we're like, here's where the buttons are, and then when one gets pushed, you immediately
No, I love when you guys call back, because Steve has hosted a freaking sports talk show with me. I love when I get pushed back. I work in the industry of, if you agree all the time, your show sucks. So I love the fact that I am triggered, and I love the fact he said that. But I will disagree that Strange is always a side piece, because damn it, one of my best friends who I've hosted numerous podcasts with, who I go to see the Marvel movies with, is adamant about this opinion. So it's not even a Steve Johnston thing.
Doctor Strange is a great character and he has his own stand, but the problem is that he never stood long enough in his own universe to create things, so therefore he's only part of everyone else's stuff.
So then,
not the lead in someone else's stuff. So then I don't like the premise setup of this.
So then, do you think it should be a Thor comic with Doctor Strange in it?
I don't even think it needs to be Thor. What's the gatekeeper?
I get it.
What's the gatekeeper at Asgard?
Heimdall. Yeah.
Heimdall. This is a Heimdall comic. This is not a Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Comic.
I mean, that's a great counterpoint. I love it.
That's my point. My point is that Doctor Strange could be the main character in the Heimdall.
Yeah.
But it's not his universe to live in. I don't need a storyline where I'm following Strange.
So you like
when he's just doing side jobs.
So you like Strange as a crucial component in the storyline, to where you can't have him as a secret ingredient, but you don't need. But you don't need it necessarily for him to be the Spider-Man, the Thor, the Iron Man type of approach. All right, I get it.
That's where my take is. And don't get me wrong, I love the Strange movies. I love everything they had with bringing him into the cinematic universe. I thought they did a great introduction on that. But this comic in particular, you said I'm in, and I'm on the opposite. I'm out.
Good though. I love it. We need more discourse on the show, Eric.
No, I think another problem here, kind of speaking to Steve's problem of sort of Marvel storytelling right now, is the solicit literally references books you have to read first.
Oh, the tie-in material. Yeah, that's true too.
What?
That's true.
Stephen Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Revenge Against Doom.
Yeah.
And
And that is true because even myself, like I love to solicit. I'm like, give it to me. But at the same time, I'm like, what else do I have to read? If you were giving me the stack of shit I would have to read, then I maybe think differently. But ultimately, I think everyone, when looking at Marvel and DC and even Dark Horse, have their core like their tent poles that lure them in. Like I've already kind of admitted, noir is one of them for me. And anytime they could add the cosmic and the mystical together, that works for me as well. Just because it really alludes to the genius of the Jim Starlins, of the Stanleys, of the Jack Kirbys at the time. Really Kirby, the first one to tie in the God stuff and the space stuff on both fronts, DC and Marvel, was Jack Kirby.
So just a personal note for myself: never bring up Doctor Strange again on this segment.
No, bring it up.
But you must do Benedict Cumberbatch's weird accent.
Yeah, especially in the first one. Like
I just want to point this out. This will be the easiest way to put it. I'm going to put it this way, right? Of all of the toys that Hasbro produces for Marvel, like the prop replica stuff and everything, I've yet to see a Stephen Strange prop replica.
Well, that's what my buddy who I mentioned kind of alludes to. He's like, he's not, because he's a wrestling fan. He's never going to be the reason why you're going to the show.
Exactly.
And I get that argument. Can I just bring up one thing?
This is the Brooklyn Brawler of superheroes. Steve Lombardi shows up and he does the job.
Well, can I bring up one point really quick?
Yeah, but when you do this, you're taking 1 minute away from Paul at the end of the program.
No, I'm not, because I'm mentioning Paul here. Other than me right now in my little rant about Strange, the most explosive one guy has ever got, or the whole panel has gotten from one opinion, was Brendan's take on the Beatles. Because that got Paul going, that got Eric going, that got Steve going.
You know what I love what you just said? Is you just now told the viewers that they have to go watch those podcasts to be able to understand the references in this. That you're right. You're 100% in on this book. With that said, Ultimate Universe,
so what Eric just said,
2 years, number one is next up.
Yeah.
Are you talking?
Well, I was talking to the producer that's supposed to put the next cover up, which is Ultimate Universe 2 years in number one.
Ultimate Universe 2 years in number one. So they're already telling you it's the second year and it's a number one. Doesn't make sense. But introduction of Ultimate Daredevil, but it's likely not Matt Murdock in the Ultimates universe. So somebody else got blinded with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle slime. All paths lead to Endgame. In preparation for the Maker's return in Ultimate Endgame, the Ultimate Guardians have been traveling all across time and space, recruiting members new and old. Travel across all corners of the Ultimate Universe. Don't miss the dawn of many new characters, including Ultimate Daredevil.
The Ultimate Universe is doing well. It's not doing as well as the Absolute Universe in the DC side, and that's what the comparisons between these two are. I feel like Marvel keeps dipping into too many characters into this line instead of building and growing the storyline off of it, and then incorporating those big characters that have big standalones in it, the Spider-Mans, the Black Panthers, into each other's stuff. Just my opinion. I feel like it's been a cash grab for them in the last year to get this line to continue to be out there. I feel like everything they're putting out is becoming very cash grabby.
This is actually where we are in agreement, because I've mentioned before how the Ultimate Universe at one point was what Absolute is now. Absolute seems new and fresh for DC. Ultimate feels almost derivative and stale for Marvel, because that was really a thing in the early to mid 2000s. I don't think it's really that cool anymore, even if they bring in headlining big name characters. Where an Absolute, bring them all in, because that would be new.
Not in love with what they're doing with this line, but it still is very popular, and I do understand that. This next one I really do like. I think that they're doing some cool stuff with the Venom line. So Brendan, tell us about Venom 252.
All right, so Venom 252 is going to be the origin of the all newer Venom. So another new Venom. That's going to be the character on the cover right there. I love that suit. It says, the rumors are true. Venom has a brand new red and blue suit and a brand new name to go with it. How will the people in New York react when they find out that the city's newest Spider-Man is the symbiote they love to loathe? Luke Cage and Otto Octavius are ready to battle or to debate the matter with their fists. And there's also a bonus tale with the origin story of the all newer Venom and a celebratory flashback story. So they're doing like 2 or 3 side stories on this, which means that instead of your 26 pages, you're going to get like 18 because they've got to do 2 or 3 pages for each of those side ones. So I don't know about the value of this one, but it does have a cool cover, and they're introducing the newer Venom on this book.
I think this is cool. And from that solicit, I'm going to take away that you're going to get a Doc Ock and Luke Cage confrontation, as well as joining, like, even if they're not joined together, having the same focus of trying to stop Venom. So from that standpoint, I think that's cool, because whenever you've had characters that are trying to accomplish the same thing, but they also work against each other, that conflict that gets created creates, you know, additional storyline and situations that get called back later down the line. So I feel like that's written very well, and I would hope that the book does ride that way. And that's why you have these side notes in it, because it gives them room to do callbacks to those side things to then, you know, branch off a whole nother issue of something or whatever. So this is a great setup. That's what this is a setup book.
Now this
is setting
A cover right here really encapsulates what's happening in the solicit, but this B cover, go ahead and throw that one up, Eric. This one is a retailer variant. So this is Big Time Collectibles and Comic Inspiration, but this is for SGCC. I don't even know what convention that is. SGCC 2025. And this is the Miko Swayon Virgin cover. So they have a cover that's got the trade dressing on it, but this is one of the ones that the clean cover is really the one you want to go for, because the art on this is so fantastic and it takes up the entire page. When you put the trade dressing and stuff on there, it's distracting for this one. But this one right here really encapsulates that whole dichotomy with Spider-Man and Venom. It does all the things. It does not have the new character on it or whatever, but this is a fantastic cover.
And I think that's why, you know, Venom, we've talked about a lot with Deadpool, and you know, sorry, Liefeld, we're bringing it back up. But at the same time, we talk about how Deadpool in many ways has jumped the shark. Venom hasn't quite gotten there, but the same things that really popped for Venom was what once popped for Deadpool. But that's what I'm saying that in a complimentary way, because Venom goes back to the simply put cool visuals. And as Brendan said, this looks polished, it looks pristine, and it taps into the duality between all of it with Peter Parker and Eddie Brock at their core, and then going years down the road or however else you want to use the symbiotes. This is why Venom continues to be a popular character, because people love the imagery.
This cover's done well. It's presented very cool. I love how the spider is kind of almost like in the middle of the change, right?
Which
I think is really, really cool. This is done really well.
It also
definitely one of those
reminds
better.
me of the Marvel trading cards from like the mid '90s.
Yeah,
like that kind of
the flare
atmosphere.
It's the art from the flare line. Yep. Absolutely. This is, I mean, it's a great callback to it, and that's perfect.
This is like a poster. Like, this is what you want if you're like hanging up in your, like, man, you know, your nerd cave. Right.
Definitely going to be one of those covers that people are definitely going to want this, and when they see it, they're going to have it. So we're coming up at the end of the program. Just wanted to mention a few things. Obviously, you know, with everyone just finishing up the Thanksgiving holiday, of course, coming into the holiday season. So we will have some things that'll be coming up in regards to that with the holiday season coming around the corner. And one of the things I want to talk about for us following up is Black Friday. Black Friday for you guys anymore? Or is Black Friday just a continuation of the shopping experience? The reason I bring this up, and I just want to take just, you know, a minute or two on it, is we're seeing in the world of comic, toys, pop culture, cards, where stuff is being marketed as Black Friday, and it's selling before we even get to Black Friday. I'm seeing pictures of displays out saying, well, it's not for sale. And then everyone coming in and saying, hey, I wiped out the display at my local Target for this. And then you go and you look, and it's in their Black Friday solicits. So is this retail getting lazy, or is this consumers getting aggressive?
I want to let someone else talk.
Oh, no, I was trying to see if Paul was going to, because Paul's got the delay, and so I was trying to give him a chance to talk, but if he's not going to, I'll go.
Okay,
So I bought I bought a massive TV yesterday from Costco. It cost $500 for a QLED 75-inch television, and it's like if they're going to offer, I'm going to go down and get it. But the thing is, it's not Black Friday anymore. It's not Cyber Monday. It's like the last 2 weeks of November and the first week of December. They've got these crazy deals, and some of them are more worth it. Dude, I just got a 75-inch television with a 5-year warranty on it for less than $500 from Costco. I'm not going to find that ever. So the thing is, like, it did work out for me this year, but I don't go out chasing Black Friday stuff because it's all just marketing. The stuff that they do for Amazon or whatever, it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, and it's like sometimes they have a good deal, but I'm not going to go out and chase it because Black Friday used to be you stay up all night, you get rewarded with a $100 television.
Yes,
but it's not even that anymore. It's just a marketing thing, and if it works out, if it happens to come up in my timeline, if it happens to come up in my email, I'll take advantage of it if it fits my lifestyle. But I'm not going out looking for those deals anymore.
And Steve, that's why I'm going to slightly tweak with how you kind of stem the question. I think it's opportunistic consumers based off of what they need at the time. That's why the marketing is key. Because as Brendan said, it was this universal thought. You would go out, you line up, you get up, you stay up all night, and you'd be there like the brick and mortar on the property sense in the flesh. Now it's more so making sure you could capitalize on the television, the radio, the internet ad that you get, and think, oh wow, that's exactly what I need at this time, because you may hear about 15 of those ads before that on television, radio, digital, whatever, and it doesn't apply to you because you don't need what they're offering. The second you hear something that you may need or something that may value you, maybe Brendan was looking for a TV or something at the time and it just kind of clicked at that time, that's what it is. So it's the opportunistic element of thinking, okay, I saw this advertised, I heard this advertised, I need it, but if I don't need it, it's going to be white noise like a lot of ads
just
are.
My problem with it is, and this is just my opinion, I feel like big box retail has gotten lazy. And they've gotten really lazy with how they're doing things. I mean, I don't mind, sue me. Walmart is notoriously gotten bad at shrinking their aisleways with constantly leaving things in the middle. And it's now just drop a pallet and let the consumer take it rather than build the displays, create the shopping experience. They're losing all this, and it's because of our look. At the end of the day, it's our attention span, right? So this is exactly why. And two, I'm going to blame the current workplace, right? Our current workforce that are holding these type of positions come from that group now that don't have skill set, that just literally do these standard things. So they do just the minimum, right? There's no forward thinking that's happening in that. They're not in that career space because it doesn't allow growth for them, right? So from that standpoint, like, it's gotten so lazy and it's gotten so brought back that it's just so poorly done. I was in a Walmart last night, walking down. They've got their pallets sitting there to break product and all of this stuff and everything. Every single pallet I went by had multiple open boxes with items removed. That's a pallet that's been there for a while. That's a pallet, like, and that's the thing. And I get that they get a ton of stuff in this time of year, but what used to be exciting about Black Friday is exactly what you were talking about, which is the doors close Wednesday early. And then on Thursday, you are at home and you see all the ads and you see all that stuff and everything's happening. And then Friday, you go down and there's bins of stuff that wasn't there. You could have been there at 4:00 on Wednesday, and when you go in at 8 a.m. on Friday, all of a sudden there's all these different displays and all these things. Now all their Black Friday merchandise is out. Target had dropped all these toy displays. They're 4-sided, and the different manufacturers have like products built into them. There was like a Lego one, and there's a Hot Wheels one, and there's, right? They dropped those already. I had someone else that was telling me today that on the Pokemon side, you have a bunch of these places are advertising huge Pokemon drops on Black Friday, which, by the way, makes no sense. But nevertheless, I totally understand, right? That they're just creating hype for their day. Stores are pushing that product out so they don't have to deal with that consumer on Black Friday. So half the Targets are putting Black Friday product out today, yesterday, earlier in the week. It's lazy. It's not to create the hype. And that's what we used to get excited about and really kick off our shopping experience. I mean, I'll ask anybody here on the panel really quick, who here has finished their holiday shopping?
Not finished, but I've done a good chunk of it.
Right.
I'm usually done by now. We had some things come up. I'm usually done by now, like well done. Like a month ago.
Worst things came up. We totally get
Steve,
it.
I'll say this in terms of stuff I get specifically with like a very specific thought in mind. Absolutely, everything now at this point is like last minute gift card type stuff. So in that regard, yeah,
you're last minute at Black Friday, and that's supposed to be the kickoff.
Yeah.
See,
great point.
The problem is
point.
that we've ruined the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Social media has ruined everything. Is what it is.
It.
Social media has ruined just society, because when you look at how things are marketed now, like it's marketed by influencers, it's marketed by like the things that come up in your feed, and 97% of the stuff that you see on your feed you don't trust because it's Facebook or it's whatever, and it's all garbage. Like, so when you sit there and you look and you're like, oh, this is a great deal. Dude, I did so much research on that TV we're talking about because of the brand. I've never heard of the brand before, but they've got a bunch of reviews, and of all their reviews, they've got a 4.2 out of 5 stars, whatever, over thousands of reviews. And it's like, okay, well, that means that they, you know what I'm saying? And if it didn't have a 5-year warranty on it or whatever, but it's like, you know, if this came up on my Facebook feed, this company is called TCL. I've never heard of TCL. I'm not buying that thing, but it's Costco. And I know Costco's return policy, and I know that I've got a 5-year warranty on it and stuff like that. So like the brick and mortar got me with a targeted ad, but it's not on Facebook. It came through Yahoo or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is different now because of the internet, and because you didn't know what you were going to get. They sent an ad out that had a flyer, and it's like, here's the doorbuster, and here's 16 things that are going to be surprises. So you had to show up to find out what the surprises are, but everything is spoiled now because you're going to get a text 5 minutes after the store opens of everything that's there, what's missing, what people are fighting over, whatever, and you're like, I'm not going.
Absolutely.
And the thing is that excitement.
That's the one you cut, Eric. Just remember, just go the last 2 minutes.
Just not allowing it. And definitely send Paul Black Friday deals. And in fact, the only guy you could trust to talk about all this stuff would be Paul Vato. Yeah. And Paul, let's give you a chance to, talk about the things that you wanted to discuss today in the podcast.
No, 100%. I mean, I have so many great deals going on for Black Friday. As long as you contact, that's right. It's absolutely right. Okay. You go to paulvato.com, and right from there, you can find all of my Black Friday deals. You can buy some Vato coin. You could buy some. Hello? Are you guys still listening? Hello? I mean, I also have the Kamasusia Black Friday.
Yeah, it's in the freezer.
You guys even paying attention?
The freezer.
You guys even paying attention?
No, it's in the freezer.
paulvato.com. Check it out. Guys, hello? Hello? It's snowing in Chicago. Nice. You still there? We got a Paul Vato Presents podcast, offshoot of C3 POD.